And I just enjoyed running. I had so much energy when I got sober. I wasn't comfortable in my own skin. I was on drugs for all those years. So I was almost felt like, who am I?
1, 2, 3, 4.
What's up, everybody, and welcome to episode 108 of the On the Runs podcast. We are coming to you virtual. I am back at home after a quick trip to Tampa Bay. And let me tell you, I love running here a lot more than that hot, humid weather in Florida. Erica, how are you doing?
You guys will tell I don't sound super great. Me being tired all week was because I was coming down with something. So
the tables have turned. For once, 108 episodes, Erica has finally lost her voice. It's happened to me, maybe 3 times?
I am so nasally, it's not even funny. But besides the sinus pressure, I'm feeling pretty okay.
Did you try the key to life?
No, because I don't. Brandon's got the neti pot thing. I don't have the squeezy bottle one like you have, but
you got to get the squeezy bottle.
And that's just weird. Like, do I use the same one he uses? Do I have to get
my
own?
No, go get your own. I mean, you could sterilize it and everything, but go get your own. Try the key to life. Happiness is the key to life is happiness in your household. If you say it really fast with a French accent, you know what it is. So, oh man. I am fresh off a run. I just ran up the backside of McIntyre, which is a local ski known 4 times. And I think you're off a run today too?
I did. I went for a run just to kind of see if I could clean my sinuses with some fresh air. And I felt great while I was running. And then I get home and it's like... Yeah.
You picking up any stray cats on your run?
Rachel wanted to. Oh, we saw this cute little kitten. It wasn't like tiny kitten. It was probably like, I like to call it the teenage, lanky kitten, they're long and cute. But he was a little orange boy and he was just hanging around on the rail trail. So Rachel and I made some friends and made a friend.
There you go.
She was real tempted to take him home. And I was like, might as well.
It kind of looked like Maisie.
No, that's Scooty. That's Scooty colors.
It looked like Scooty.
That's a scooter colors, but he was really cute. He was so friendly. He was rolling over, letting us pet him. But there was they're building a new complex, really close to the rail trail. So he probably belonged to somebody. And I don't know. I wasn't going to take him, but Rachel was really tempted. Oh. I would have been like, okay.
Would have been a good story.
I was like, we can name him Cheeto or Cheez-It.
Got to give him a trail name.
Yeah. I don't know. If we see him again, I'll think about some cool trail name to give him. We'll see.
Have you cleaned up yet since your run? Taken a shower? Do the steam to get the boogers out of the nose there? Or so you did? I have not. I'm wearing everything I ran in, including my flip belt still.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Did you just get home?
Well, I've been running around ever since, and then cooked dinner on the griddle. But speaking of hygiene, which you do good with, and I apparently don't.
Okay.
Brushing our teeth has become a hot topic in the last couple of days.
I am shocked how many people have reached out and were like, I'm with Erica or I'm with Eric.
Most of them are with you, which just is you're all wicked weird. One person, we'll get to her later. She's like, all of England puts toothpaste on first and then water.
You know what? I don't know why it is. That is something I've never thought about before. It's just something I did, and I don't know why I do it that way. It must have been learning it way back in the day, but everybody has their own way, and maybe you just do it the European way.
Yeah. Now, one of our patrons, Hannah. If you want to join our Patreon, guys, just find the link in the Instagram bio, join that Patreon, become a friend or a lover of the pod. But Hannah sent me a message and said, hi on the runs. Just to let you know, this was what my dentist told me to do. You put water on the toothbrush, then toothpaste, then water again. And that is the proper way to do it, especially if someone has sensitive gums. But that's not what we're here for. We're going to have a poll. The poll's going to be, do you go water, then toothpaste, or toothpaste, then water? That's going to drop later this week. I'll play this clip and we'll drop that. Yeah, we'll see. I have a feeling I'm going to lose again as I've lost all these bets, but it just means
I will give you one though. Our friend Jared pointed out that I was in fact incorrect.
Yes.
On our last episode, and I will own up to it because
And he wanted to be on your side.
I
He
know, and I
wanted
appreciate
to.
that. But I will eat crow. I will admit when I'm wrong. I misspoke when I said you can choose whatever state you want, but that's only if it starts and finishes in 2 different spots. So
Yes.
Jared did point that out. But in my defense, I'm not technically part of that group. That's a 50 states marathon club. But the only reason I'm not part of that club is because I'm a little butthurt over them because my Kansas marathon won't count for it. So I'm like,
go back.
I'm just, well, it's either I go back or I go rogue like Patrick and just do whatever I want. And like, because Patrick is running 1 mile in every state just for the hell of it. So
he just wants to say he ran in every state.
So
and I think he should have the providences to that later.
I could do whatever I want unofficially, but yes, I will run a separate Kentucky marathon. I will probably go back run another Ohio marathon just for the hell of it. Like I could do what I want.
Now it
like
has
the
to be a marathon. You can't go do like a 50K ultra and count that. In your book, I want your ruling.
My ruling on my book is anything marathon distance or over.
Okay,
I'm counting like my 100-miler for Virginia. Like that 100% counts. I finished. I got an official time, and that works for me.
But that one's easy enough to go back to Virginia and do a marathon. Like you could do the Virginia Beach one, but Washington isn't that easy. So you're going to count Washington. And well, do you already? No, that's Oregon. You already have Oregon.
I have Oregon. I did do a marathon there. I did Revel Mount Hood, which doesn't exist anymore, but I did that back in 2019. So that counts as a state. Washington will be coming up, and anything marathon over a marathon. I'm counting as a state.
For those who haven't listened to the recap yet and are like, oh, they're just up to date, Erica thought maybe because the Flying Pig Marathon touched the state of Kentucky for about 30 feet that she could count it as a marathon state and do Ohio later. So 2 miles, 30 feet, tomato.
I was just trying to give myself an excuse to go back to Ohio since we have so many wonderful friends there. But I'll do it anyways. You guys in Ohio know I love you.
Well, something else that happened this weekend was the Will Run For virtual 5K. Or I don't think it was a virtual 5K. It was just the virtual live. You could run or walk a little bit. Yes, that's right. Because I said I walked a quarter mile and Aaron goes, that counts.
Okay.
But they had their virtual live. I joined it on the Zoom, but I was driving because Adeline had practice. And then I brought her to practice and it ended at 10. The Zoom started at 10. So they saw me driving. And then we got home and I just sat in and I saw all these people. There was at least 20 for the little more than 20 people on the Zoom. Other people did the race or the run and then joined or just did it later. But I have not opened it yet. Well,
I have mine in the other room.
I have technically opened it, but well, you don't need to get yours. I'll just show you mine.
Yes.
So this is the first time.
I did totally do it. I walked yesterday and I ran today. So between the 2 days, I've covered the virtually.
Same, and I got my run in today up McIntyre. So anyways, the first thing in the box, I know what it is because I'm feeling it. We got Will Run For socks.
Yes, excellent.
By
Very excited
Big
to try those.
Skylines, socks on, baby. I love it. Little rock on. So we got some socks. Let's see, what else do we have here? I'm
excited to see that medal.
We have some virtually live stickers. Oh, this is nice because it's the matte or the vinyl finish.
Mm-hmm.
I like it. I like it a lot. I wonder if they got these from the same place as we get ours. What else do we have here? Here's a pamphlet. The money went to a good foundation, a good cause for breast cancer, of course. Erin has breast cancer. Recently, she told everyone about it. So it's Unite for her, and it's a little pamphlet on it. What else do we have here? Okay, that is the medal. I don't want to do it yet. Pins. We got Will Run For pins. We got some FU cancer right there.
Nice.
Love it. What else? I like revealing it this way versus just an Instagram photo. Magnets. Oh, finally some magnets.
Ooh,
Will Run For,
excellent.
by the way. Your shirt orders are in the queue. It just hasn't come in yet. I haven't gotten the shirts. Here's my bib, which I guess I did not wear up Mount McIntyre today. I just called it Mount McIntyre. It's anything but a mountain, but it is a steep hill. And yeah, okay. So now we got the medal. Dun 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 dun. Dun. This is, I think, by like Ragged Cuts. I think
Something
Ragged
like that,
Cuts
yeah.
was it? I
And they're
recognize that
local.
because it was Ragged Mountain. Yeah, Connecticut, which they thought was New England, isn't New England. It is, but
Nice.
all right. Here's the beautiful virtually live medal.
God, look at that thing. That's
Look at
gorgeous.
that. Wow. There we
I'm
go.
gonna display that with pride. Hell
Now
yes.
it's wood, but like look at the detail there on the back. I don't know if
It's
you can
beautiful.
see, but like now, I'm not talking about the back detail, but look at the hair.
Mhm. Oh
Right?
my gosh, yeah.
That's what I'm showing you, the hair. And you can see it better in the back. Oh, you can see it in the front too, just like every perfect point. I wonder what kind of machine or saw cut this. It's beautiful. And it says, F cancer on the
Lasers.
shirt there. Will run for a podcast, and then a little 2004 right there. That's great. That's amazing.
Nice.
So we're gonna put that right there. You can see it. Yeah, you can see it in the video. If I turn my
Yep.
camera a little more. Yeah, there you go.
Awesome.
Will run for it. Thank you so much.
Nice
Your
work.
stuff is in the mail. Well, it's not in the mail. Actually, you'll get
It
it
will
at Mount
be.
Washington, which I'm training for, and it's about a month away.
There you go.
So I did request to have everything in by Father's Day. He said no problem. So because I knew
Excellent.
that was coming up, Mount Washington. Pretty
What's
pumped
going
for
on?
that.
What's going on with our sweatshirts?
It's the same thing. He took the
Ah.
sweatshirts and he's making the shirts with the hoodies.
Perfect.
That's right. We had 5. So he's on it, and we got the sneaky stoolie going on the sweatshirt.
I gotta have that because I want to bring it with me when I go to Washington, so I can have a nice sweatshirt to wear.
Yes, you
I'll
cannot
be
eat
repping
in it.
Stoolie.
It's a rule. You cannot eat in your On the Runs hoodie.
Why? Because I'm gonna slop all over it.
I don't want any food to get on it or ruin it. It's a no eating or drinking hoodie.
You know what? That's a wise rule, especially for me, because I am the queen of crumbs. I just make a mess. Like literally, I'll be sitting on we eat on the couch because it's just me and Brandon. But I will tuck a napkin into my my sweatshirt and just eat that way.
Need a picture of that.
Like 9 times out of 10, I get stuff on it. So I'm not the neatest eater. I try. Like you can take me out to nice places. I won't.
I'm not either.
I won't embarrass myself.
I'm not either. So that's why I'm going to be extra cautious. I mean, that's not a cheap hoodie. We went and got a nice one, and he's putting our logo on it, and the sneaky hoodie or the sneaky stoolie, and a couple of our Patreons said yes, they want one, so we got them for them too.
Cool.
So yeah, pretty excited. Back home, probably on the road again next week, but we have a great guest today. And this is a little different from what we've done before, but real quick, let's talk about Coach Mike.
Oh man, Coach Mike is the excellent man behind the Boston Bulldogs, which we've heard so much about between talking to Patrick Karen and Dan Liszczek, and he's just an amazing man who's got quite the story, and he put this together to help others.
Coach Mike founded the Boston Bulldogs, and when I said this is going to be a little different, here's what it is. I got my way, he got his way, okay? He wanted to come on and just talk about the Bulldogs and highlight some of his Bulldogs and talk about, what the Bulldogs, their purpose is, their identity, the 5K coming up they have. And I'm like, well, here's how we do things, Mike. We want to talk to our guests and hear about them and their story. And I really want to talk about you and give you an episode. So we settled in the middle. The first 30 minutes is Coach Mike, and then we bring on a couple of his Bulldogs, and they're so amazing. We're going to bring them back for their own episode further down the line. Ashley and Ari are amazing. Ari is going to run the Boston Marathon next year. Ashley just ran the Boston Marathon, and then Coach Mike, 75 years old, been running for I think it's over 40 years, maybe longer than that. Is that 50 years? Like running. I love what Pam said. She's not sober because of running, but she gets to run because she's sober. But I think Coach Mike, has brought a place here with the Bulldogs to provide a place for anyone who suffers with addiction and is currently in recovery, or anyone whose life has been affected by someone with addiction or helping someone with recovery. That's what Mike provides. And it just seems like this wicked, awesome community. And the
400
other thing,
strong.
Yes. And I want to plug before we get to the episode, because I don't want to plug it after in case it takes people a couple days. There's a 5K in Franklin Park, the zoo in Boston, the Franklin Zoo, on Sunday morning. The Bulldogs are putting it on. It's their big event every year. And there's what, 400 to 600 runners. It sounds like it's going to be awesome. I might be making an appearance there. I can't tell you yet. I don't know fully what our weekend plans are, but I think I can make a Sunday morning race, but I'll have to shoot right out of there after. So I think I'm going to make it. I think.
Excellent.
Fingers crossed. And then Ashley and I are going to do a little trade. And if I don't make it, I will make it to something with the Bulldogs later. Maybe I'll go to one of their 6 a.m. Saturday runs or something, or one of their evening get-togethers and get to meet guys. And I can't wait. So you guys are going to love this episode. Little disclaimer, Mike's microphone was a little iffy from time to time, but the story is worth it. You're going to love this, guys. Enjoy Coach Mike, Ashley, Ari, and the Boston Bulldogs on the On the Runs podcast. Our next guest on the pod grew up in the rough neighborhoods of Boston. He dropped out of high school in the 8th grade and quickly found himself using drugs and learned early that he needed a change. After he found recovery, he founded the Boston Bulldogs, a running club for people in recovery. We are wicked excited to welcome Mike Ferullo to the On the Runs podcast. What's up, Coach Mike?
You sound like you're from Boston. Wicked excited.
I was born in Boston, but we're just up the road in New Hampshire, so I still got the wicked awesome in me.
It rubs off on us.
You must be, you told me you were a Bruins fan. You must be very excited.
Very excited. We got a game tonight, so I appreciate doing this early, even though we're a week early. Hopefully we're kicking the Florida Panthers, but I'm a diehard Bruins fan. You're right. I told you on Saturday I was going to get you the show notes by the end of the day, and the Bruins went to overtime, and I was too excited and wired and amped up after that Game 7 win. But yes, enough about hockey. I love hockey. I love the Bruins, but I want to hear about you because multiple people we've had on this podcast have told me about you and the Bulldogs. We've had Patrick Karen. We had the Beard, as we call him, the bearded runner, Dan Liszczek. We've had some others. We met some other Bulldogs. I'm so excited to have you on the podcast finally, Mike. Thank you for coming on and taking time.
Thank you for giving me and my Bulldogs who are in our leadership program, which we'll talk about, an opportunity to talk about wellness and recovery in the Boston Bulldogs and the amazing job that these guys are doing to help them saving their lives and finding their potential and enjoying community and running. And
I was going to say, it truly is our pleasure to have you. This is such a cool opportunity that we get to talk to the founder of the Bulldogs we've heard so much about.
Well, let's get into this. Let's talk about you for a little bit. Later, we're going to bring on some of your Bulldogs, and I'm super excited to talk to them. But let's hear your story to begin. And Mike, you're from the Boston area. You grew up in Boston. Why don't you tell us a little bit about your upbringing?
Well, my parents were born in the North End. I'm a third-generation Italian. My dad was a pretty famous boxer. You know, I'm a Boston guy, very much connected to my Italian-American roots and the Boston community. So I come from a very loving family. I have one brother and two sisters and who have since passed. I'm the youngest. There was a 13-year difference between me and my next sibling, so I think I was a kind of a mistake. My dad was, at that point, he was retired from fighting, you know, and he he was very successful, but it was a very hard life economically and being in the ring. He fought, 15-round fights every few months, the best fighters in the world. He held a title. So, it was a tough life, but and then he trained fighters. So when I was born, he was training fighters. One guy became the world champion of the world. There's a big statue in the North End of that guy. So when I was growing up, he was probably in his 50s, and there was a lot of sort of economic stress in the family and a lot of conflict. And I was young, and I had, I'd say I probably had ADHD. I was impulsive, energetic, very, very sensitive kid. And then during my adolescence, I started, actually, I wasn't going to say this, but my dad, we moved to Hollywood, California when I was in the 6th grade from Boston. And that was a trip. My dad worked in the studios. He was working with actors, training them to be boxers and as actors who were doing scenes in boxing. So that was a transition for me. But then we moved right back to Boston. And when I started the middle school and I heard this kid from Hollywood, California's here, that was a trip. It was a trip. But, you know, at an early age, I started to have trouble in school. Like I said, I think I had ADHD and there was a lot of stress and in the family. And there was no sort of way to communicate feelings or what was going on. So you kind of just got lost. You know, you just lost, you know. There was no way to sort of process what was happening for me. And I just became very more impulsive, more reactive. And I always sort of lacked judgment and self-awareness. You know, I was that kid that was always moving around, getting in trouble in school. But at the same time, I was a very sensitive kid. So then I started hanging out with people that were in the same boat as me. They weren't doing well in school. They'd be getting in trouble. So I ended up dropping out of school at a very young age, at 16 years old. I didn't even get to the 9th grade. And that's when I started using drugs. And that, because of my intensity, I would say, luckily, I experienced drug addiction from the age of 16 to 22. It was a fast progression. You know, I was so out of control and so intense that I ended up, you know, in jails and psych hospitals. I was in rehabs, different rehabs. There weren't a lot of rehabs. I was actually sent to a place. It's on HBO Max now. It's called Cinnabon. And it turned into a cult. I was only 17 years old and I escaped because there weren't a lot of rehabs then. But anyway, those years of my addiction were really just filled with, I wasn't happy. You know, I didn't have fun. I didn't like being in jail. I didn't like getting in trouble and hurting my family. And I always wanted help. I just didn't know how to sort of go about getting there. And then I would say I started, besides the drug, I started to sort of dissociate from any kind of problems or conflicts or my own feelings. And then when I got into recovery, that sort of helped me out a lot because I didn't feel a lot. I just kind of was going through the motions, you know. And then when I got out of rehab, I was 22 years old. I spent the whole year in rehab. And rehab really gave me a new beginning. It saved me. It really did. It helped me sort of really commit to sobriety and helped me understand how much I wanted it. It helped me learn to be productive. But more important, it learned to help me develop an identity and a purpose. My self-esteem was good. I had community with folks I got sober with and the clinical staff. So it sort of like was a major shift in my life. So I went from feeling hopeless and I probably would have been dead or ended up in a psych ward because I was so defeated and depressed. And obviously being a high school dropout, not having any skills and doing a lot of things that I shouldn't have been doing to survive. It was almost like I felt it was a miracle, you know. I was so excited and happy. And then I got out of rehab, and I didn't really know what to do with myself, and I became a drug counselor. And then from there, I ended up in college. That's, you know, it's like who you know in Boston. I ended up at UMass Boston, and I got a scholarship. And I ended up at BC, and I got my master's degree in social work. And
way to go!
That's amazing.
I developed, you know, a positive identity, and then running came in my life. Running really kind of helped me with what I call the stress of recovery, the stress of being successful.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we all do that. We use running to help us cope with all the things that we're doing. So running played a big factor, and again, it gave me a positive identity. It was something to do. I joined the running club. but it really kind of helped me deal with my trauma and my stress. And I just enjoyed running. I had so much energy when I got sober. I wasn't comfortable in my own skin. I was on drugs for all those years, so I was almost felt like, who am I? Just the way I felt and the
Yeah, you have to
physiological
rediscover
energy.
yourself, right?
Yeah. It was so running, but I enjoyed it. And a lot of people ask me how but I should stop and see if you have any questions. I'm sorry.
Well, Mike, I'll ask a question here.
Good.
Growing up, when you were before the 8th grade, were you already doing like sports and stuff during this whole time of addiction? Were you being active? Or was this whole finding running when you found it in your whole recovery? Was that the first time you ever found running in any type of athletics or
Yeah.
sports?
So this was, when you drop out of school back in the late 60s, if you were a drug addict, you had problems learning, you had problems. If you were high school, you were considered less than, there was no way I was an outcast, and I was very athletic. My dad wouldn't, I wanted to box. When I was in jail, I boxed. I was very successful at it, but he wouldn't let me box when I got out. But I never got to engage in organized sports. I think if I got to high school and I had mentors like coaches and I got into organized sports, I don't think I would have went down this path. Or if my dad, who loved me dearly, was able to spend time with me and get to know me. He was so busy trying to make a living, train fighters, and deal with his demons that he really couldn't spend the time that I needed. I was a very sensitive kid, and I needed role models, but I never got to play organized sports. I never even set foot into a high school until I started working as a therapist in a high school 25 years ago. First time I walked into a high school was to help people, and it was just such a trip. Nobody knew that I never walked in. It was like the first time. But I never played organized sports. I never did any running. My dad ran a lot back in the 30s when he was a fighter, and they said they used to throw rocks at him because they thought he was so weird running 5 or 6 miles. They didn't know he was a fighter. But no, I didn't.
When you did pick up running, you were using it kind of as like a stress relieving tool, since you said your recovery it could be taxing at times. So do you want to pick up where you left off and tell more about your running journey?
Yeah. So at that time, it was like 77, 74, 75. The running boom was just emerging. I lived right down the street from Bill Rogers, who's now on one of my ambassadors on my board of directors. I used to see them running a lot, and then he opened a running store right up the street from where I lived. And so I was kind of intrigued with this running stuff. There was a book by this guy, Jim Fix, on running. It was starting to really become very popular during the late 70s. And one day when I was just newly sober, we decided to go to the Boston Marathon. And we really went there just to see if we could pick up some girls, to be honest with you, to meet some girls.
There you go.
But we're all sober, and we went down there, and I think we were close to the finish line, and it was 1976. It was the hottest Boston Marathon recorded. And right before the finish line, we were standing there, and a guy just fell and dropped from the heat and exhaustion.
Wow.
And this is all true. I'm not, Italians, we tend to exaggerate.
I believe you. I believe you.
He dropped right in front of me. I had no intentions of running or anything. And he jumped back up and he, continued to run. And I said, I want to do that. I want to run this. I want to run the Boston Marathon. It wasn't because there was a history. I didn't know anything about it. And so that sort of flamed the fire a little bit. Now move forward 17 years ago when I first started the Bulldogs at these shelters and drug programs as a volunteer. Who do I meet and end up becoming one of my best friends was the winner of that marathon.
Really?
He's now an ambassador. He's plays a significant role. He coaches Dana Farber. he and I are very, very good friends. I'm actually training. I'm 75, so I'm in the 70 to 80 group. I try to compete. There's usually only 10 of us, but I do pretty good. But he's coaching me to run Falmouth. I'm doing a big fundraiser for the Boston Bulldogs. But it's just really kind of cool how it all worked out. I just wanted to meet some girls, and I ended up going there and became a runner after that. I started getting into running. And I like I said, I got an immediate fix from running. I just felt right. It was being a drug addict, or not, you're used to instant gratification. You get the drug and you feel good. But when you get sober, you have to learn to delay gratification. And that's why I created this integrative approach to wellness, because when you engage in productive, where you develop purpose, where you exercise, where you meditate, where you connect with community and you have fun, that just creates those chemicals, the serotonin, the dopamine, right? And it gives people a sort of an instant feeling of well-being. And I think that's why running gave me that sort of feeling of like, I like this the way I felt after. And the more that I ran, the higher that I felt. I got that runner's high. So, but I also needed it, like I said, to sort of just help me with my trauma that I was carrying, that was starting to come out in my early recovery that I never really dealt with when I was in rehab. I was just so relieved to be sober. And then from running, 3-4 times a week, 5 to 6 miles, then I started racing, and I started to get into marathon running, and I joined a running club, and it's been 50 years that I've been running, and I love running.
That is amazing. Good for you, Coach Mike.
So people ask me about why I started the Bulldogs, and I recently wrote a poem, and I asked Eric if it was okay if I read it. I think this is the time to read it because it relates to my running. This poem kind of relates to how running helped me deal with my trauma, so my negative core beliefs of myself, because of the things that I went through. And I'll just read it to you.
Yes.
All right, so I'll read you this poem. So I should be pausing and letting you guys ask more questions, but
It's
No,
okay.
you're doing great. You're doing an awesome
You're running
job.
the show, and I love it.
I have a tendency to do that. I was using running at some point as sort of a negative addiction to avoid things, and it wasn't helping me with certain things. So I got into insight meditation. So for the last 30 years, I've been going on silent retreats and I meditate. So I could use it. The name of the poem is My Running, but it could be My Practice, which is my meditation, because that also saved my life. And it's part of the Bulldogs integrative approach to wellness. So I had my running when I felt lonely and less than. I had my running when I was filled with rage, anxiety, and despair. I had my running when consequences of my damaged past looked me in the eye screaming, shame, shame, shame. During those moments, it was my running that gave me one more day to breathe and reflect on hopes and possibilities. And finally, knowing when darkness arose again, I didn't need my darkness to vanish. I had my running. I'm not a poet, but kind of like.
It was beautiful. It just shows that everybody has a different reason for running, and whatever that reason is, it's still important, and you just have to keep at it. And especially if it helps you mentally, physically, it is a great resource.
Well, for people like myself and people with addiction and mental health issues, the benefits and the reason the Bulldogs are so successful, right now we have over 450 members of the club.
That's incredible.
If you combine running and active running, and I teach our 3 principles, which helps people be very consistent in our integrative approach. If you are consistent in running and you're consistent in showing up, which is our first principle, which is self-leadership, which allows you to be connected to your community. When you combine community and running, you have a magic. That's the Bulldogs magic, we call that. We had like 10 people yesterday running a marathon, half marathon in Wells, and we got the videos and the pictures of them having fun. So for people with mental health issues and addiction, there's a tendency to isolate. Through isolation, we suffer. Through connection, we heal. And people who need to sort of find your potential and not go back to drugs or relapse on some mental health issue they're having, they need to practice our first principle of self-leadership, but they need community. And the community is what holds us together and gives us the support that we need to sustain ourselves and find our potential.
Well, let's get into the Bulldogs then, Mike, because you started this amazing run club. We've met some amazing Bulldogs already. We've had them on the podcast. We met them in person. Why don't you give us the story of how you started the Boston Bulldogs running club?
So as I mentioned, I had done very well in my life, and I always loved helping people. I was a therapist. I had a private practice. I consulted in the schools, but I always had and I specialized in addiction, and I wanted to, which isn't unusual for people who have been helped by addiction, or they want to give it back. And I wanted to volunteer some of my time to promote wellness and recovery, because as a clinician and being familiar with the clinical recovery community and the community at large, I understood that the wellness component was missing. And it saved my life. Running saved my life, and focusing it on my overall fitness and mental health, this integrative approach that I've created. So I wanted to introduce that and let the clinical recovery community know that, listen, you can help people with therapy, with 12 steps, but you've got to introduce them to the importance of wellness, to taking responsibility and empowering themselves. So part of the Bulldogs is about me trying to help people understand that what they think about themselves, or what they might think they're not able to do, they can do it if they don't listen to what they're always thinking and feeling. A lot of people suffer addiction have very negative views about themselves, and are very unwilling to deal with uncertainty. You have to deal with uncertainty in this life. They tend to want to be in control. And so I started volunteering at Pine Street in the Shack every Saturday for 8 years, introducing running and wellness and fitness to the folks. And it grew. It was very successful. But because I couldn't, after they left, I had trouble staying connected to them. So then I talked to my wife. I said, listen, I'd like to turn the Boston Bulldogs into a nonprofit and open it up to the community at large, not just for people in recovery, because for people who are impacted by addiction, because as a clinician, I treated a lot of families who suffer either the loss of somebody, or they have a husband or a family, a child who experiences addiction, and they experience trauma. So I included this integrative approach in anybody who wanted to support our mission of wellness and recovery. That was 8 years ago. And here we are today. We have 17 people run the marathon. Not all of them, because we get the numbers from the Boston Marathon. Not all of them are members, but a handful of them are. And they all did great. They all did great. So, yeah, that's how it all started. I just wanted to, and I showed up every Saturday for 8 years. And the guys really, really got engaged, and it helped them a lot. And now it's exciting. It's been a lot of work, When I first started this nonprofit, someone said, an executive, a guy that runs nonprofits, big wheel in Boston, I consulted with him. He said, you're screwed if it works and you're screwed if it doesn't. He didn't use that word. He used another word. And I said, what do you mean if it works? And he said, because the more successful it is, the more it grows, the more work you're going to do.
Mm-hmm.
So now, luckily, we've hired an executive director. We have a Bulldog who went through the Bulldogs, who was director of outreach and programs. She met her husband there. They're both Bulldogs. She's a full-time employee of the Bulldogs. She helped start it. She has 2 Bulldogs children, Riley and Charlie. Very, very special to me. And so, we're growing. We have 3 chapters, and we get a lot. That Runner's World article, I don't know if you saw it, but that just sort of opened a lot of doors. We've had folks reaching out from all over the world. They want to start a chapter up, but it's very hard because we have a certain model that's very important.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to bring on a few of your Bulldogs. Ari and Ashley will come on really soon. But before we do that, let's talk about the 3 main principles of the Boston Bulldogs that you shared with me.
Thank you. So the first principle, as I mentioned, is self-leadership. And that is the key because people one of the problems that people who struggle with mental health and addiction have, or everybody has, is being consistent.
Mm-hmm.
They kind of throw the towel in but the idea of showing up when you don't want to show up, staying consistent in your sobriety and your wellness is very, very important. So promoting leadership, taking full responsibility for your life, your internal life, your external life. And people will find that that's difficult, but they end up feeling very empowered by it. And they find their unlimited potential. Like they did. It wasn't therapist. It was they trained for the marathon. They ran the marathon. They went back to high school, graduate school or college. They graduated. They put the necessary effort because we say, listen, just show up and we'll do everything we can. But if you don't put the effort in, we can't do anything. So I'm a hard ass about that. The transparency is the second principle, and that relates to mindfulness aspect of asking people not to move away from things that are uncomfortable or move towards things that are destructive that make them feel good, but to stay in that pocket and observe and witness what's arising, lean into it. So if you're angry, lean into that, recognize it, allow it, feel it, understand it, learn to respond by acknowledging what's there internally and also externally. So it's an aspect of mindfulness. I don't call it mindfulness because it's overused. It's transparency. That has played a significant role because, again, people like us have a tendency to not want to. We don't do a very good. Nobody does a good job at wanting to observe their mind, wanting to watch their thoughts, wanting to feel their feelings, wanting to understand what's going on. So transparency results with insight, compassion, and wisdom. The third one is what saves us all is giving back. And Ari and Ashley will talk about those principles a little bit more. But it's through giving back that we stay connected and we get our way away from our ego-centered self. We feel connected. And there's too much isolation. People, as you know, I don't know if you know this, but people are actually dying from loneliness. We need to be connected. And so the Bulldog really provides this idea of giving back. We have a junior Bulldog program where we give back to kids at risk because I'm convinced if there was a program like this for me or other Bulldogs who started to use drugs when they were teenagers, it might have helped. It's an alternative to going down the wrong road by empowering themselves to get into fitness and health and community. And our core values, of which are kindness, compassion, and generosity, which is a big one. So those are the three principles.
I think that's absolutely amazing. I am so on board with everything that you guys are doing, especially the giving back part, because you've learned so much over your journey, your running career, just your life in general, and you want to give the resources to people that you wish you had. So I really appreciate that you have set up this kind of program, especially the Junior Bulldogs. I think that's amazing.
And let me just say, as a clinician, it's important to understand we all have relationship trauma.
Mm-hmm.
You could have a great family, all of a sudden, your first girlfriend breaks up with you when you're 14, and that stays with you.
It does.
No,
Yeah.
but for some of us, the relationship trauma is significant. Some of our folks, or some people, a lot of people in this world have been sexually abused, emotionally abused. So to learn to trust again, to realize that you can't trust everybody, but you can trust again. There are people that you can trust. So
Mhm.
learning to get into healthy relationships and learning how to navigate relationships without getting triggered and traumatized and running away or creating a problem for yourself. This approach develops social and emotional intelligence. But so that's the giving back and the connections is a good opportunity for people to practice transparency to see what's arising when they start to get intimate and close again. Because we're not a cult. You're going to get angry with people. People are going to disappoint you. Great. Here's an opportunity for you to work with it. You don't need to relapse. You don't need to stop connecting with people. So that's a very, very big, important part of helping people through the importance of relationships.
Mhm.
Well, Mike, I think you're doing a great thing, and I think it's about time we bring in some of your Bulldogs.
Good. This is the part I've been waiting for.
All right.
Share the spotlight.
All right, let's bring on the next two guests on the pod from the Boston Bulldogs. We have Ashley Coffey and Ari Ellinson. I'm super excited. Mike, one thing Mike did when we talked on the phone before this was I said, Mike, I want to hear your story. I want to talk about you. And he goes, no, we don't need to talk about me the whole time. I want to highlight some amazing people in the Boston Bulldogs. So I said, all right, let's bring them on. Let's meet more and let's have them on and hear their story. So let's start with you, Ashley, because you're right there with Mike. You're in it. You're in his house. I checked out your Instagram. You seem to just adore Mike for whatever he's done in your life to help you out. Let's get the quick bio of Ashley Coffey. Where are you from? What did you do growing up and that type of stuff? And give us the quick rundown.
Okay, well, thank you for having me. I am definitely excited to be here with Coach and Ari. I started my journey. I grew up in North Andover and Andover. My college led me to UMass Dartmouth and BC for a little bit. And I skipped over a lot, but high school was one bucket. I never ran in high school. Like I played softball and field hockey, and in field hockey, I chose the goalie position because I honestly thought that they'd make us not run, but you actually run in your equipment. So just to give you like the precursor, was not a runner. And in college, I didn't play any sports and just kind of navigated life. I got sober around 28. So in that time, I worked a lot of different jobs. I did a lot of different things. It led me from working for a mortgage company with my mom to hospitality, and the nightlife in the city was my favorite thing. I loved the buzz, and I enjoyed working with people, and I loved being the best bartender. Whatever you were having, I was having one with you. And it's kind of how my 20s went. And I had a lot of fun, and I have a lot of great memories. And at some point along my journey, things were not as fun anymore, and chaos kind of started to fill in little gaps in my life. And I started to notice I was kind of using and drinking to fill a void in my life. And, I finally hit my rock bottom and simultaneously found the Bulldogs at the same time. So my running career kind of jumped from there.
How about you, Ari?
I'm from Brookline, Massachusetts. Actually, I was Coach's son, a friend of Coach's son growing up. I went to Brookline High. Me and Max was a year. Coach's son, Max, was a year below me. So we were best friends growing up. That's how I kind of knew about the Bulldogs.
Very cool.
I played. I was actually like made fun of for my running. That kind of what sparked me growing up. Yeah, I grew up with a lot of OT problems, and that kind of sparked my motivation for running these days. But I played tennis growing up in high school. Did a lot of different clubs. Went to UMass. Majored in psychology. And once I got out of UMass, I started to work in the field of special education, and which I'm still a special education teacher these days. Yeah, when I was in college, I used to party kind of like any typical college kid did. But once I got out, I started to using like different pills and alcohol and different drugs to kind of cope with everyday life. And it spiraled out of control about 6 or 7 years ago. And ever since then, I've been on a recovery journey that's had its peaks and valleys. But I found the Bulldogs, again, because of Coach's son. I kind of knew about the Bulldogs and started out right away. Honestly, didn't latch on right away, kind of like Coach was talking about. You need to kind of go within yourself to find success and whatever your journey is going to be. And I honestly wasn't putting in the work at that point. I kind of went through my own, again, struggles and reached my rock bottom. And then finally, a few years ago, I started to put in the work. I showed back up at Bulldogs, and it's been great ever since.
That's wonderful, you guys. I'm so glad that the Bulldogs have helped you on your road to recovery, and that it really is such an amazing tool. Just from what I'm hearing from you guys, that it's really turned things around and helped you. And Ari, I really like how you said you're holding yourself accountable, that you weren't putting in the work, but once you decided to have the consistency and the commitment, that it totally turned things around for you. I like that. Congratulations. Both of you. Congratulations.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Well, we kind of heard then how you know Coach Ari, but Ashley, how did you meet Coach Mike, and how did you find the Bulldogs?
So when I hit my rock bottom, I went into sober living because I just had absolutely zero control over my environment, over all the things that were going on at home. I had to remove myself. And so in doing so, that was a long climb. I had my own plan at the time, which isn't a really good idea when you're in early recovery to navigate your own ship. But I walked into sober living and I said, I'll be here for 30 days and then I'll be out of your hair. And I thought I'd go back home and just get right back to doing what I was doing. And there was a manager of the house. Her name is Megan. And I had a little bit of a sleep problem when I first got to the house. So I would be up like all hours of the night watching like Planet Earth because there was nothing else to do. And I'd fall asleep on the couch in the living room. And Megan would get up every morning on Saturday mornings, like at 6 o'clock, and I'd hear the toaster going. I'd hear her walking around making coffee, and she'd send me back to my room to go to bed because you weren't supposed to be out in the living room all night long. And one day, a few weeks into me living there, I asked her, like, where are you going 6 a.m, and can you please take me with you? We were in the middle of Holbrook. There wasn't bus stops. There was nothing to do. Back then, you were like on phone restrictions, so I had no cell phone, and I just wanted to get out of the house, honestly. And she's like, I'm going running. And I was like, all right, I don't care, but I don't have sneakers. So she gave me sneakers, dressed me, and off we went. And Megan took me to Chestnut Hill, and that's where the Bulldogs were meeting on a Saturday morning, and everybody was running up for a run. And I just got out of the car. I was ripping a butt. I was like full-blown smoker and put the cigarette out, and they're like, all right, like we're off. And I start running. I want to give myself 100 yards, but I can't honestly tell you I ran that far even. I let the pack continue on. I stopped and pulled the cigarette out of my bra and I lit it, and I'm like, this isn't for me. And that was kind of how my first experience went. But at the end of the run, everybody was just so welcoming. It was like, how did you enjoy it? I'm like, oh yeah, it was great. And they're just so friendly. Coach Mike was there and he introduced himself, and I just kind of fell in love with the group. At that point, like I said, I always wanted to surround myself with people, and I was addicted to the buzz in the city, but I had to remove a lot of that when I got sober, and I wasn't going back to bartending. So This was my first exposure to like people gathering to get well or just to support a sober community that I had never experienced before. And I liked it. And I thought the fun was over when I put down the drinking and the drugs. And I thought that there was nothing I was going to enjoy again, that life would be boring. And I actually had a really nice time. And they said, we look forward to seeing you next week. And that was, I continued. That was my first effort at making friends with people that were going to support me in my wellness and like-minded individuals that just live their lives or, support the overall idea of sobriety the way I needed to at the time when I didn't know I needed it. And to this day, Megan and I are best friends, and it's crazy how, things have changed. We support each other now, but I really needed her and didn't realize how much I really truly needed community. At that point, most of the time, by the end of my drinking and using, was isolating actually a lot. And so this brought me back out of my shell and got me comfortable with being uncomfortable. And so that gave me a lot of value for, what led to the next 5 years now, because it's been 5.5 years since I joined the club. So I'm a keeper.
Yeah, Ashley just completed the Boston Marathon.
Whoa!
Congratulations.
She went from sneaking in the bushes that first time. And I said, where were you? She says,
I want to go back to Megan real quick. When you said to Megan, what are you doing at 6 a.m.? Like, where are you going? Take me with you. Was she first like, no, you're crazy. You like, I don't want to do this. Or was she just like, yes, let's go. I'm going to show you the next best thing you will ever experience in your life?
So Megan was not the type to like want to throw something at you if you weren't ready to. And so we look back on it now and she's like, I was always waiting for that moment where you wanted to and took the initiative to want to show up for yourself. And I look at it in hindsight, and that's the first principle, is just wanting to and having the desire to show up for yourself, and nobody can run for me. And so when we got there, and then I had 1,001,000 questions after, because it wasn't too much longer after that, they shared with me about the Full Circle program that we do. And that the implementation of the Full Circle program at that time in my life was so imperative, because it's a 6-week program that you sign up for, and you're partnered with a wellness sponsee that's going to walk with you over the course of the 6 weeks and support you and keep you accountable. And you commit to a distance. So the first full circle is a 5K, but we're talking about, I couldn't even run a block. So the idea of me running a 5K was inconceivable, but they promised me that I committed to my wellness and that I focused on 2 goals that I wanted to work on for that term, that I could do it. And so Megan was actually my wellness sponsor, and I was her sponsee. And she would take me on runs. When I think about like the smallest grade of an incline, I could barely run it. And I felt like it was impossible. And, having her support and partnership through that journey was just little by slow. If I continued to just show up and listen to my body and, follow a training plan, that I could do it. But I had, at that point in my life, never given 6 weeks of dedication to anything. I'm impulsive. I have no patience. Like, running was not something that came easily to me. And so through that program, when I got to the end, and I ran the Needham 5K, the New Year's Day 5K. So I started my first full year in sobriety, like day 1 on New Year's, instead of being hungover, I was running a race. And she ran it with me. It was the first time I'd ever run consistently without walking. At the very end of it, I completed it. I was having a full-blown asthma attack. So Megan kept running to her car to get my inhaler because my lips were blue. But but that's just transformation. Yeah. It sounds terrible, but it's hilarious to us now. And at the end of the race, I had a full group of Bulldogs, like half I didn't even know, that showed up to the race to support me and deliver my first Full Circle certificate award. And that was, I had never, like, my family wasn't there that day for whatever reason. Like, I had a lot of broken bridges I had to mend, but they were there for me, and they gave me this award and congratulated me on a job well done and told me to keep showing up. And I, that confidence that I grew in the Full Circle program bled into other aspects of my life. And without Megan being my wellness sponsor and volunteering her time and committing to showing me the way, I don't really think that I would be where I am today.
That's awesome. Congratulations, Ashley. So the Bulldogs are more than just a community. It actually is like a family.
It really is a family. I've made friends that I will last the test of time here. And more than the connections that we make at each chapter, it doesn't matter if you're in Plymouth or Quincy or Chestnut Hill. I actually had to move. So Chestnut Hill was my home base. That was where I grew in my recovery, because that 30 days in the sober living turned into 6 months. And I grew relationships and connections at the Chestnut Hill chapter, but I had to go home. So I had to leave my sober house and move back to Plymouth. And I was full of fear, anxiety, doubt, insecurity. And lucky enough, there was a chapter in Plymouth that I could show up for. And I was right back to square one, like afraid to show up. I comparing and contrasting. No one's going to be like the Chestnut Hill chapter. And day one, when I showed up, that group surrounded me with support. It was the middle of February. It was pitch black out. Everyone's in like hats and gloves and everyone looks the same. You don't know if it's a boy or a girl or what you're dealing with.
Right.
But the feeling was familiar. So we go out for this 5K run. And they didn't let me run alone, and they supported me all the way through. There were new hills I didn't know how to climb that I could barely get up. And that's, I think, the Bulldog community for you is no matter where you go, you get that same connection and that same closeness, no matter where you are.
Excellent.
Just say Ari and Ashley will talk about this, but they're both in our leadership program, which you work yourself up when you complete Full Circle programs, and they're running chapters. One chapter in Chestnut Hill, Ari does, and Ashley runs a one here in Plymouth. But the leadership program, we'll talk about it. It's the key to the program. These two guys do an amazing job. They basically run the Bulldogs. The other leaders. It was a concept that I came up with based on my own recovery and self-help model. Like, we help ourselves and we help one another, and we can do fine.
Well, Ari, why don't you tell us about the leadership team then and that you're on? And I do have some questions for you about your early Bulldog experience, but tell us more about the leadership there.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's been a game changer. Like, my recovery has gotten so much stronger. I've been a leader for about 6 months now, and just helping other people, doing that, exhibiting that third principle of just giving back to other people has helped me so much in my own recovery. Of just like, because as addicts and just, I think as people, we tend to like live in our own heads and be so self-consumed with how we're feeling, especially if you're suffering from any type of mental illness or personal challenges. You're always so wrapped up in your own head. And what leadership does in demonstrating that third principle of giving back is like, go help other people. I'm also in Alcoholics Anonymous, and I think the other day I was having a challenge with just like being way too into my own head, and my own sponsor in AA was like, go give back, go do something for somebody else. And I actually ended up going to the Quincy Full Circle, which was amazing. There were like 30, 40 people there, all cheering on a few different types of people. And that's not my usual chapter, but I went and I gave back and just being there, honestly, and cheering on a few Bulldogs who were in Full Circle. And that just made my day so much better. As a leader, we can go do outreach to local rehabs or detoxes or sober houses. We have a partnership with the Italian Home for Children, which Ashley participates in, and I will hopefully participate in soon. And we serve as these wellness sponsors for people who are in Full Circle, and we give back to them in that way and helping them fulfill their wellness goals, also helping them fulfill their running goals, and just checking in with them constantly. It's such an amazing experience. And again, I've only been a part of it for a couple of months, but it's just really changed my recovery for the better.
This is only the beginning, right? You're going to keep
exactly.
going because it is a full circle thing. Like you are getting help out of it that you are putting back into it. And you guys are just amazing. You're blowing my minds here.
And I'm also able to, like, from different aspects that I didn't even consider, like, I mean, posting on social media, like I've created some rap songs. I've created some songs for just like coming to the Bulldogs. And it's just like kind of tapped into talent, like things that I hadn't done in 20 years of like singing and creating content, which I always loved doing. So it's like getting back to things that I loved doing before I started using drugs and alcohol, basically.
That's awesome. Ari actually told us this story about her first ever run with the Bulldogs early on a Saturday morning, 6 a.m., ran like 100 yards. You kind of got into that where you didn't fully commit right away. But tell us the typical Saturday morning Bulldogs run that you go on up in Chestnut Hill.
Absolutely. So we start off with we all get together at 6:30 on Thursday nights. We have 2 Chestnut Hill runs. Thursday night at 6:30, Saturday morning at 9 a.m. Everyone gathers about 10 minutes beforehand. We usually have some snacks, some drinks, and we gather in a roundup. And then the leader basically has some type of like icebreaker question that we all kind of go along.
And that would be you. You're the leader of that run, right?
Exactly. Yeah,
so
exactly.
What kind of question would you ask to break the ice?
So this past week, I asked, what's one goal that you're working on? And we kind of, but it could be also silly, like, what's your favorite movie? I once asked, like, what's the weirdest thing that you do for your wellness? Because, like, I was at that point, I was having some stomach problems, and my mom was like having me eat like whole garlic cloves for my stomach. My mom's Russian.
Okay.
Yeah, so
different
things. Yeah, different things like that. So I asked, what's the weirdest thing that you do for your wellness? So it could be silly. It could be also inspiring and motivating. And then we usually have one person who goes around and shares a wellness tip. And that could be related to running. I've heard the whole gamut about like the power of meditation, that it's important to stretch out before you're running. Also the power of like going on a roller and using the roller every day. Different things like that are positive things for your wellness. And then we usually have some kind of announcements and especially shouting out new people, making sure that they're welcome. And then we take a group picture, which is always awesome, just to like, all of our runs are always documented. So you can go back in years and see yourself in a run, which is awesome. And then we decide on who's running, who's walking, who's running we all run at different paces. And one of the rules of the Bulldogs is that you never run alone. And I think that's the most important part.
Wonderful. Yes. I was going to ask about that.
And then we usually have all types of different paces. People are walking, people are running, and all sorts of different distances. When it's marathon season, it tends to be a little bit longer, but people are always training for different types of races, whether it be 5K, 10K, half marathons. And then when it is full circle is just on my mind. This past Saturday at Chestnut Hill, we had one person running full circle and 30 different people who showed up for him. And we had him cheering while he was running his 5K around the reservoir. With people brought signs, people were cheering him on. And then we had a nice little presentation about like kind words from wellness sponsor, who was myself. And then he got to talk about what the full circle program meant for him. And it's just like, it's amazing, honestly, like having 30 people come, mostly strangers, honestly, to Alex, who was running the full circle, to show up and cheer him on. How
do they know about it? Like, is there a Facebook group page? Is there massive group text? How does someone say, hey, Alex is having his full circle run this weekend? How does that word get out? And then 30 strangers who've never met him come out there to support him.
Well, they may have met him before, but like, that was my point. Yes, but we have a Facebook group, the Boston Bulldogs members page. When you join the Bulldogs officially, you get to join the Facebook group as well. And then we post about all of our runs, all of our events. That's kind of our like main point of communication on that Facebook group.
That's so amazing, you guys.
Ashley, I got a question for you. I want to go back to that first Saturday morning that Megan took you to at 6:30 in the morning. You only ran maybe 100 yards, you said, right? And then you lit up another cigarette. Did the group hang out after? Do they just run and then get their miles in? And then it's like, hey, thanks. Hope you come back next week. Or did they do anything to like hook you in to get you back the next week? Because you only ran, you were kind of like, oh, this isn't for me. You only did 100 yards, you said.
Yeah, so every chapter run, like including that day for me, there's just a community connection after. So when people finish their runs, we usually wait for the last person to finish or the last group to finish. And there's just, it's just almost like fellowshipping, like how it would be in AA, but it's different because we're all celebrating each other's run or we're talking about what we're going to do for the rest of the day. And we have the drinks and snacks that people usually grab at the end. And we just kind of chit chat and catch up on how their week's been going. So that's our opportunity to dump our bucket, right? Because the meeting on the pavement is kind of what we call it. So for those of us that are in recovery that come to the Bulldogs, it's great because you have a mixture of people that are not in recovery or affected by addiction. And then you have those of us that do practice wellness and sobriety. And the conversations that can build from there, it's like advice, like someone's coming to you for advice on how they can help their son who's struggling. And you've been in that position, so you can do that for them. Or somebody at the race, like for me that day, it was, don't worry, like this isn't the end of the line. Like you have to start somewhere. It was words of encouragement. It was don't give up, like come back next week, just keep showing up for yourself and you will go farther. You will get better. It will come easier.
So we have a big social component. You know, a lot of people who were in recovery and running before the Bulldogs or they're joined another running club. There's so much alcohol that's associated with running clubs and road races. So the fact that we can be a running club and it's drug and alcohol free and we do a lot of social things. I think Monday night there, everybody's going out for pizza. Mm-hmm. And so the social component. And
tonight? Where? I'm coming. I love pizza.
To be able to just be totally yourself. And one of the things about running, and you know this, when you run with somebody, you're not making that direct eye contact, so you tend to be very honest and open. You don't process before you say. And that is transformative. But, you know, to be able to just have fun, and this is something I've really wanted to bring to the table, is like, you don't need to get effed up to have a good time. That you've been manipulated by this culture to think that you need to be high to have fun. We have so much fun sober. We don't want to drink. We don't want to get high because we're enjoying our life. We're enjoying one another. We're enjoying the things we're doing together. So that's another big aspect to the Bulldogs, the social component without the alcohol or drugs.
I also like that the Bulldogs they encourage you to keep going. Like if you're new to running, they're going to tell you, hey, I know this sucks right now, but just give it a shot and you're going to eventually get used to it. You're going to love it. And that's very important too, just to work on that consistency thing, because getting started is always the hardest part.
And with that being said, like, what did Megan say to you after that first day?
You did it. You showed up. You know, it was honestly just celebration. She was like, how do you feel? And I was like, I feel like I just showed up for a running club and I don't run. And she's like, well, do you want to come back? And I was like, absolutely. Everybody was so nice. And I don't want to just sit inside by myself. I want to come out and see if I can go as far as you guys are going. So I have to start somewhere. And she would take me right shortly after that is when marathon training started that year. And she was on the marathon team and so were a couple of other Bulldogs. So I'd leave even earlier with her for her long runs. And I would stay and hang out in the car for a little bit and try to time it right to run out Chestnut Hill, like out Comm Ave and catch them at the end of their runs, just to kind of feel like I was a part of it. And they loved it. They welcomed me. It wasn't like, no, we're the marathon team. You can't come join us. They inspired me and they locked me in and they asked me how I'm doing. Meanwhile, I just crushed 18 miles and I'm trying my hardest to crush 2. but it didn't feel like that. It felt like they were meeting me where I was at, and there was no judgment, and somebody always lingered behind to let me shuffle on behind them. So it was great.
And now you're crushing Boston marathons in scorching hot weather.
She'll be qualifying soon. That's her goal. I'm not pushing her. I'm just saying that's what she. And Ari, who's run a half marathon, will run the Boston Marathon next year for the Bulldogs.
Are you really, Ari?
Amazing.
He doesn't have a choice.
Yeah.
He doesn't have a choice.
I was going to eventually get to this, but I really hope the two of you will both come back for your own episodes. And now I know when I'm going to bring Ari back next year for Boston Weeks. And Ashley, we'll figure it out with you. But Ashley, why don't you go, just tell us, how was your Boston Marathon? Was it your first marathon ever?
So it was my fourth. So I've run the marathon the last 4 years. This was my second in person, because the year I was running in person was obviously our favorite year ever, COVID. But I ran 2 virtuals for the Boston Bulldogs, and these last couple in person was like incredible. So I started really just running with the marathon team this year to just be accountable, show up. I love the training program. It keeps me accountable, and it keeps me kind of stabilized throughout the winter instead of hiding in my house under my comfy couch. So I ran with the marathon team we had this year, and got an invitational bib slowly, like 7 weeks before the race. So I was pumped. I was just training to train, and had the opportunity to run for more, which was incredible. And race day was another story. I had a vacation booked the week before, which don't recommend. So I had to go to Washington State and then drove up to Vancouver, and my friends' kids, I love them. They were so cute, but they got me sick. So I had like full-blown bronchitis by the time I got back. So I had laryngitis, no voice. And the night before the marathon, I didn't even know if I was running it. So when I woke up that morning, it was like a game time decision. And of course, it's the hottest one since 2017. So I was taking every water station opportunity to take just a bath with as many cups as possible. It was fun though. Like, it feels like you're running through a stadium, like you're running through your own football game. And there is no better city in the whole world to run except in Boston. It's a city that I used to run
hear that,
around.
Erica?
Yeah. No, Boston is incredible. I have nothing against Boston, trust me.
I love it. I'm biased. My family's from Somerville, so I have a lot of history, like growing up in and around the city. So it's a gift, and it's honestly a blessing, and it's an honor to run it every year, because the crowd is really amazing. And the second you turn on to Boylston, there's no better feeling, and you just like, it doesn't matter if everything hurts, which everything hurt. It's just you have to run. Everyone's staring at you, and you just got to cheer and just embrace the crowd. And the crowd really got me through this year, because that was a hard one.
Especially that mile 19 crowd right before Heartbreak Hill. You might have not known it, but we were loud cheering for you and everybody else. And I think we helped you get up that hill too.
Hopefully.
If you run next year, you guys will both have to keep an eye out for us. We always hang out at mile 19.
He may or may not have a megaphone.
I may or may not have a megaphone.
If I give it to him.
And we don't know yet if Erica will be with us at mile 19. We're going to try to get her in this year, because she ran in 2018 when the weather was terrible. It was the worst weather of all Boston marathons. So she still today goes, Chicago's better. And I'm like, no, you just need to get Boston, not during a blizzard.
No.
We still had the good crowds though. Like, people came out in that terrible weather, and I appreciate it more than I can even say, because who knows what would happen if it was just me in the course. Oh no, that's a hard thing to get over anyways. And but I would love to. Of course.
So Ari, it sounds like you have no choice, but you are running in the Boston Marathon next year. And if I heard Coach Mike right, you've only run, your biggest race so far is a half marathon. So you have to double that. What's the game plan? We got about 11 months. What's your game plan?
So I should run Falmouth in August, at the end of August. And then I'm probably going to run Cambridge half. That's usually in November. And then marathon season starts right up then. Perfect. And we do have a marathon team that usually meets before the Saturday runs in Chestnut Hill at like 7 a.m. There are about 15 of us who will run the marathon every year. That's usually the amount of bibs that we get. So yeah, just gonna take it one day at a time. That's all I can do. I mean, I'm definitely nervous, but it's gonna be great.
So you'll be running for the Bulldogs. How did you find out? Was it? It couldn't have been just now on the pod. You had to have known for a little while.
We had been. I mean, I've been talking about it, and like I'm not officially accepted, but like I think I have a good shot of getting a Bulldogs bib. And it will be fun. I mean, it's always not only the running, but the fundraising for the Bulldogs is a huge component. Got to raise $10,000. So if anybody's listening, if anybody wants to donate to my future marathon fundraiser,
that's why we'll get you in for Boston Weeks, and we'll put your link in our thing, and we'll plug it so we can help you out a little bit.
I'm looking. First of all, I appreciate that, and I'm looking forward to it. I mean, it's such a fun way. Like I'm already thinking about creative ways in which I can raise money, and I'm really looking forward to it. And one thing that I thought about as you were talking earlier, Erica, is that running, I feel like, is just such a good parallel for recovery. Whereas like it's just like it sucks at the beginning. I mean, nobody likes running at the beginning, and if you do, then I would like to talk to you about it. But if you just stay with it and stay the course, kind of very similar to recovery, then good things will happen at the end. And I think that it's the closest parallel that I've ever found to recovery, and that's one of the reasons why I love running so much.
I'm really glad that you will have your Bulldogs doing the marathon training with you, because that can be, it is very tough, especially if it's your first one and getting into those really high mileages and you find pain that you haven't felt before, and just the time on your feet, it can get to you, but at least you have that group of people who will be with you and helping you through it, and they're all going through the same thing, just like with recovery too. So you are going to have an excellent support system, and you're going to crush that.
Thank you. I'm looking forward to it.
Just keep an eye to your left, about 100, 200 yards after the mile 19 aid station.
By the Johnny Kelly statue. That's where we like to set ourselves
We'll be there. One of us will have a megaphone. We'll be yelling for your name. If you want, Erica will have a cooler with whatever you want in it. Snacks, drinks, Coke,
you have 11 months
water.
To think about what we can get you.
Erica's favorite, like she does these ultra marathons. One of her favorite things is Capri Sun. So we'll have whatever you want at mile 19, and we'll talk as that comes further down the line.
We want to be a support system for you too.
Perfect. I know exactly where that statue is.
All right. Yes. I can't wait. I'm already like having Boston, not FOMO, but just like I'm a little down. It's been a few weeks since the marathon, and we're just hitting a little bit of a low right now. I'm like, I want it to be April in Boston weeks again.
Roller coaster.
I know. Just before the 2 year joined, Mike was talking a little bit about the 3 core principles of the Boston Bulldogs. He really dove deep into 2 of them. But there was a third one about giving back that he wanted the 2 of you to talk about. Ashley, why don't you talk a little bit about the third principle of the Bulldogs?
So with the third principle, it brings everything, ironically enough, full circle. We can take what was freely given to us and be able to pass it along to different areas within the community or within our own. Ari touched on it a little bit. Being a leader means you also get to be a wellness sponsor for someone and take them through their full circle journey as well, which I think is incredible. And being able to volunteer to help give food out in Boston Common, on a Saturday morning is incredible. You're meeting people at a time in a place where it's a struggle, and to be able to brighten their day or lift their spirits is something that allows, I might be having a bad day, but someone else's day could be going a whole lot worse. And when you're putting into these programs like the Junior Bulldogs program and the Italian Home for Children, these kids have been through a lot. And not to get too much into it, but when we show up there consistently and repeatedly, they start to know your name and start to make connections with you. And you become a role model to these kids, and you become a really bright spot in their week. You change their agenda up a little bit. You shake it up by having them shake it out, move their body, teach them that, building connections and relationships with each other and with us is a part of life. And you kind of feel like you're making a difference, you're making an impact. And I love what we do with creating a message around our leaders and around our members to give back, because sometimes if there's nothing else that you can do in your day, you can hold the door open for someone. And we've seen it in examples in our own life that when we give back to someone else or we're paying it forward in some way, that it really can change the trajectory of your day. It can go from being a really sucky day to a pretty damn good day. So I feel like when I have nothing else, learning that core principle early on really helps, because you make yourself vulnerable, but you also make yourself available. And by doing so, you really feel like you're making a greater impact. And I think that we see that, our circle ups, our roundups are really happy and a really positive environment and place to be. And we want to extend our reach beyond just our circle up.
Yeah, I think one of the things that I don't often realize is that when you just show up at Roundup, you just showing up without saying anything, people are looking at you like, oh, Ari's showing up every week, no matter what. Just by that, before even opening your mouth, it's just so incredible of just without saying one word, you could be making someone's day of just knowing that, hey, like Ari's showing up for his wellness. Why don't I show up for mine? And I think that that's a really incredible and powerful thing. And then just like Ashley said, I mean, giving back it makes other people feel good. It makes myself feel good. We do it in so many different ways. Try to spread the Bulldog magic in many different ways. I remember even before I was a consistent member, we went to Mass Ave and Mass and Cass, which is just like a known place in Boston for high levels of drug use. And we went and handed out T-shirts, and T-shirts and food, and that still sticks out in my memory today of just like how appreciative people were of us, and we weren't asking anything of them, just good-natured, like handing out clothes and food, and they were just so happy, and the smiles on those people's faces just made them feel good, made myself feel good, and just kind of represents what the Bulldogs are all about. So just the power of giving back is so incredible, and that's really what the Bulldogs is all about. Because we're a running club, but we're so much more,
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I love it so much.
So Ashley and Ari, I just really want to say that I appreciate. I know you guys have lives, and you are putting in all of your extra time to support the Bulldogs, but also your own wellness. And I know that can't be an easy thing. So I just want to tell you guys that I really appreciate what you do. And I think it is amazing. And I'm seriously blown away by you. And Coach Mike, I think what you created is absolutely amazing. And it's such a helpful community for runners and just people in recovery and who are seeking wellness. So what you guys have built is just an amazing community. So bravo to you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Why don't we get a Coach Mike story here? Ashley or Ari, do either you want to share anything about Coach Mike?
Yes, I'll share something. I'll go first. I absolutely love Coach. He's been a huge part of my recovery and has helped me a lot with just healing and growing myself. But he's also a lot of fun. So each time I see Coach, there's something he does, and we play a game. And he always like pulls me aside, like we're gonna do a drug deal or something, but we're not, obviously. It's always like, all right, he's got things in his pockets, and he's like, all right, I got something in my pocket. You got to pick the left or the right. And if you pick the right one, you get you get candy or you get a treat or something like that. And it's usually both hands or treats. It just depends which one you win. But this is just something that has been ongoing between us for a long time. So I showed up here today at his house to connect, to be able to do this with you guys. And right on the counter was 3 cups, and it had the numbers 1, 2, 3, and there's 3 different treats, and it depends on which one I picked and whether I got the really good chocolate or the granola ball or this other chocolate. So I always know he's going to have my sugar intake like on point and, top priority from the second I connect with him. But he's a lot of fun. He makes things light. He makes things enjoyable. And I think that's been, we've run a lot of races together. We've had a lot of fun. He's paced me. I've paced him. And and we're just supportive like that. I mean, surprise, it's what we do, but it's the kind of connection that
I gave Ashley a name.
Yes.
I call her Muffin.
Yeah.
She's my little Muffin.
Oh.
She, both of these guys, I got so much love for them, and I'm so proud of them. And to see them overcome their struggles and find their potential and care so much about themselves and care so much about the Bulldogs, it's and the other leaders too. But Ari, growing up with my son, I've always spoiled him since he's been in the program. My heart is. I get so proud of him. He led an amazing chapter Saturday, and to be honest with you, Ashley's like a daughter to me. I have a son who's amazing, very great kid, but I also spoil Ashley. I'm just so proud of him.
We love our swag.
I can go as well. I think I have a funny story first, is that when we were I ran a race with Coach in Bridgewater, and there was, I believe, one other person in his age group, and he was just trying to beat him so much the entire race. He was like hip check. I think they knew each other too. He was like hip checking him the entire race, and my friend Mike was helping him around. He was like, yeah, Coach was like hip checking him the entire time. And beat him, and was like so thrilled about it. So that's the competitive side. Yeah, competitive side of Coach. But on the real side, I haven't found a person really who is just so like unconditionally loving. And I like to give him a lot of stuff. He was like, Ari, you're always laughing at me. But in seriousness, just so loving and so unconditionally supportive. And so, you saw it here today. He's so engaging, engages so many different Bulldogs. And I mean, it takes a special person to start something like this. And just the care that he shows. I mean, he not only wants to know about Bulldogs and the leadership and how everything's going related to Bulldogs, he wants to know how I'm doing. And we're getting coffee on Thursday, and that's a regular thing with a lot of different leaders of Bulldogs aside, how are you doing? How is your wellness improving? What are the he wants to know what is going on in our lives. And I'm just so tremendously appreciative of that, because I mean, without this group, I really don't know where my life would be. So I definitely love Coach a lot. And I think all of us other leaders do, and are just so tremendously thankful for him.
I can definitely feel the love between all of you guys. So keep it up.
I just want to say that I've been around the block. I can feel the goodness in both of you. In your
Thanks, Mike.
How committed you are to this, and the great job, Eric, you did with the research and putting so much work into this. But, one of the things for us is we get to meet so many good people, and we've experienced some hardships in our life with others, but this has been a special moment because we've been able to be with the both of you, and you guys are just such good human beings, and you're doing good things in your own way, right? So we've enjoyed it. Thank you.
Well, let me tell you this. When we started this podcast a little over 2 years ago, right? All I wanted was some fun platform, because I thought we had these funny stories about running and code browns, as we call them, which can be any kind of oh crap moment. But eventually we started meeting all these people, Maurice Lohman, Larson Ojala, who had these incredible stories of drugs and addiction and at a very young age. And then we start meeting more, and we bring these people on the podcast, and it wasn't even our game plan to talk about it. But all of a sudden we kind of started finding our identity, which is storytelling, but hearing the entire journey and how running has played this role in for the two of you or the three of you, and for someone like Maurice or Larson, recovery. So that wasn't even our goal, and we did this, and now it's been happening for the past year, and it's just amazing. And you guys are all so inspirational, and I never thought we'd go down this road. And when Dan connected us and he gave me a phone call, he actually gave me a text. He goes, "Do you have a few minutes to talk?" And so I said, "Sure, give me a call right now." And when he was telling me about you, Coach Mike, and about the conversation you had with him and what you wanted to do and to highlight people like Ashley and Ari, I was like, yeah, this is what we do. This is freaking awesome. And I was just like, we don't usually have this many people on an episode. I'm like, no, I want to hear these stories because they're so inspiring. And I want to get more in depth with you, Ari, and with you, Ashley, later, further down the line. But I think we've heard so much about the Bulldogs and like Patrick Karen. We had him on a while ago. We've known him for 2 years now. And you guys are awesome. Mike, what you're doing is amazing. Thank you so much for doing this. We got a few extra questions, but I'm going to let you go, Mike.
Okay, thank you for that. So the only thing that's missing here is you're not wearing any Bulldog swag.
Oh.
And that's our fault because our swag is very fresh.
I'll make a trade with you. I'll send you some On the Run swag for some Bulldog swag. How about that?
Ashley will, if you text Ashley, she'll make sure that you get some of our running gear, our T-shirts. We got some great running stuff for you. So you take that shirt off and put a Bulldog shirt off your next show.
One thing this podcast that we do like to do is pump the tires. We like to pump the tires for your fundraising, for your marathons coming up, or your races. And also, I want to pump the tires for the big 5K. So why don't you, Ari, could you tell me a little bit about the Run for Recovery 5K that's going to be this Sunday, the 19th?
Yes, it's going to be awesome. It's at 9 a.m. at Franklin Park. It is honestly the best day of the year. So many people come out and support the Bulldogs. This year we are you can either run a 5K or we have a shorter distance this year. You can also run a mile or you can walk the course. That's totally fine. If you want to do it virtually, you can do that. And it's just a big event to come support the great work that we're doing here for the Bulldogs. It's called the Run for Recovery. And you can find information about it on the Bulldogs website. Yeah, it's just kind of a whole celebration of what the Bulldogs are all about. And at the end, we also have a special tribute for the Bulldogs that have unfortunately passed away in the past few years. And that's always really special to kind of commemorate their lives and remember them because they all have a very special place in our heart. So if you're available, please come out. It's so much fun. And it's such a joyful occasion just to celebrate the Bulldogs and everything that they're doing for the community.
Ashley is heading off the tribute. So I'd like her to talk a little bit of the tribute. It's a big part of the race. Of course, is the Franklin Park cross country. It's a historic course in Boston, Franklin Park cross country course. It's a challenging course. If you ever heard of it. But Ashley will speak a little bit about the Run for Recovery and the tribute because she's a big part of helping organize it. And she'll be out there and running the tribute.
Yeah, it's a phenomenal day. To Ari's point, it really is like the best day of the year. It's family friendly, dog friendly. We have tons of community partners that show up and create a festival of sorts in the field with tables with resources and ways to connect. And it's a phenomenal day to celebrate those that have found recovery. And the tribute really allows for us to honor those that have not found recovery or did not find recovery. And the amount of support that we gain, there's over 700 participants that come to the field and join us in celebration, rain or shine. And we just have a wonderful time with it. And a lot of families and communities create teams in memory of their loved ones that they've lost. And so we have some phenomenal support in that regard and people that get to come out with T-shirts branded and painted or pictured to be able to run in honor of someone. And so there's a lot of love that day and there's a lot of smiles that day too.
And I want to give a shout out to Patrick Karen because he was one of our race directors, and Patrick's like a son to me. He put a lot of effort and work into the Run for Recovery and the Bulldogs, but he'll be there. So I'm sure Patrick's going to listen to this, and I want him to know how much he means to me and the Bulldogs. So,
Mike, why don't you talk a little bit about the 5K too? Talk about like maybe the first 5K, how you brainstormed this race, how you got it to be, and then to become the annual race that it is every spring.
Yeah, we've grown. I think we've come close to 600. The first year we had about 200 or 250. I wanted to acknowledge people who have lost their lives to addiction. It's an epidemic. So many people are dying from fentanyl, and I wanted to acknowledge the loved ones. And this year, this woman Heather, who ran the Boston Marathon for us, she ran it for us, right? Yeah. She lost her brother, so she'll be speaking about her brother and how amazing he was, and he lost his life at such a young age to addiction. And we've lost a number of Bulldogs through addiction and alcoholism, and so honoring them and paying our respects to them is very important. And it brings another kind of something to these 5K races that is unique. And it's just the Run for Recovery, just a way to celebrate our life and our recovery and our wellness. We have so many people that come in from all over that are in recovery, they're impacted by addiction, to either walk, run. So it's and we've gotten a lot of media attention. So hopefully that will continue because that brings in a lot of runners. It's just a special event. It's a tremendous amount of work, to be honest with you, to try to put on a road race. And I have to give a shout out to my beautiful wife because she runs this organization from behind. She does everything. She's the one who organizes and works with Ashley and the team to make the Run for Recovery work. We have a lot of sponsors. So it's successful, and it's been a challenge, but very rewarding.
With this dropping just the weekend before, does this have a chance of selling out, or can anybody join? Do you have a cap as to how many entrants you can have?
Well, I think Franklin Park can hold up to 600 runners, but if we have a little more, we won't say.
I hope you have a wonderful turnout. That's going to be amazing. But I also do love that you have the virtual option, just in case somebody, possibly like myself, can't make it, but still want to support you.
Yeah, the Run for Recovery is such a big event. The Boston Marathon team's a big event. I do want to give a plug out to another program that we just developed a few months ago. And this is the only program that we have that's open to the public, that's free. Because I've talked about the importance of integrating mindfulness with exercise. I say meditation, running is like peanut butter and jelly. It really is a really important combination for people. But this meditation and more, we offer meditation every morning from Tuesday and Friday, and every third Wednesday I do a longer meditation and a talk. But it's open free to the public. So if you go on our website, Boston Bulldogs, or the Meditation More website, you can sign up. So we want to invite anybody and everybody to our meditation program because we're trying to offer this to the general public along with our members.
I'm super excited we were able to make this happen. We always have two final questions before we end everything. So one is mine, and I'm going to give you the chance to maybe mix it up. We call it the Code Brown Commandments. Now, like I told you earlier, how we thought this podcast was going to go when we started, it was just going to be the good, fun, funny stories. And we're building this list of Code Brown Commandments, which is really turning into advice for runners. One could be like, don't trust a fart. Okay, that's down the line of Code Brown. My favorite, this is my advice, diaper rash cream cures chafing overnight. But we've also had other ones like leave no trace when you go out there on your run.
Favorite.
So is there any advice you would like to give runners? And maybe you could tie it into things you've experienced in your community.
I can go ahead. I would just say just show up, and that kind of ties into the Bulldogs principles of just show up, just be there, and everything else will take care of itself.
It's exactly what I was looking for. Oh, Ari, you understood the assignment. Thou shalt just show up. I love it.
I think what I would say is the best advice I was given, I'm happy to pass it off. Becca Peasy actually said once, who's a phenomenal human being and so supportive of the Boston Bulldogs. Someone asked her once, like, how do you run 7 marathons in 7 continents in 7 days? And her advice was, you just have to get comfortable with being uncomfortable. If I didn't hear that, I'm uncomfortable when I run. Or I'm uncomfortable when I'm trying to like PR something, or if I'm trying to grow a greater distance. And when it gets to the point where it just feels like I almost can't, I remember that your body's more capable than your mind leads you on to think. And so those two things keep me to finishing most long runs.
Yes. Love this.
All right. So I don't know. I'm going to say something kind of on the funny side. It's absolutely true. So I've been married 35 years. When I first met my wife, I was, obviously into running, and I wanted to impress her. So I invited her to her 10K in Newton Center, and she came to my first road race. And it was a hot day, and I was running pretty fast. Again, I wanted to impress her. So when I crossed the finish line, she was right there, and I threw up right in front of her. It was like, I don't know if you've ever run all out and you've thrown up at the end of a race, but
I'm pretty close.
I've done it a few times. But I really, I was like, wow, because I was running pretty fast for my age group. And so it was just like, ugh. And I looked up at her and she went, I don't know if I want to watch you run anymore. I don't know, she didn't say that, but that was so when you have your first date, don't invite you if you're going to run all out at a 10K or a 5K. Don't invite her to come to the race. You're going to go up. She still married me though.
Happy ending.
I love it. You all understood the assignment. Mike, you understood what we're looking for too there on the funny end of things. Guys, you're awesome. Thank you so much. Ashley and Ari, I really hope you'll come back on the pod later this year. Ari, for Boston Weeks next year, we'll have you on in April.
Perfect.
Keep it in mind. Save those stories. I want to hear everything. One thing we always say, spare no details. We'll get your whole journey, but this was really a big focus on the Bulldogs community. Thank you so much to everyone who's helped make this happen, going all the way back to Patrick and Dan and the entire Bulldog family. So guys, you're awesome. I really hope I'll see you on Sunday. I'm going to do my best as long as nothing gets in the way, and we'll do that t-shirt exchange, Ashley.
I got you. We'll connect on the back end. It'll be good.
All right.
Do I get to ask my last question though?
Oh, I forgot you have a question too.
It's going to come up. I'm not letting you guys off the hook that easily. So On the Runs has an awesome Spotify playlist, and we like to invite our guests to add a song to it. So I want to invite you guys to add something. It can be anything that you like to run to, or that you're just digging at the moment, something inspirational, just any song that you would like to add. I want to give you the opportunity. So let me know if you got something for me.
I got one. Straight Arrow by Sam Barber. There's a quote in that song. Is don't let your thoughts of yesterday cloud out the visions of today. Listen to that song by Sam Barber. It's called Straight and Arrow. It's an amazing song.
Excellent.
I'm going to go with some EDM love for my favorite.
Yeah, Ari, I love
DJ,
this already.
Avicii. I'm going to go with Without You.
Oh, great song. Big Avicii fan.
Yeah. R.I.P.
I'm a big fan of running an EDM too. But if I wasn't, any of those big booty playlists are totally up my alley because I never have to change songs. It's like the perfect music ADD I need. But if I wasn't going with that one, it would be Running Miles by Hippie Sabotage. It's a real beginner. So I like it.
Excellent. These are all unique songs that we do not have yet. So I am looking forward to adding them to the list.
I
Thank
think
you guys.
we do have a few people have picked some big booty music in the past, right, Erica?
I literally put a song called Booty on there.
I have no idea what that is.
Well, I don't know if you guys were paying attention, but Paul Thompson ran across the country just a few weeks ago, 3,000 miles, and they would do these Instagram lives. So I would jump in and ask a question or two. My question would be like, I remember one time, what is he listening to? Like, is he listening to a podcast or music? And they said he either listens to country or big booty.
Love it. Love it.
I'm a big fan of that too. So
Thank you so much.
Thank you guys. This was a real honor to meet you guys, and I am so on board with everything that you're doing. So just keep it up. I love that you're building the community even bigger, 450 strong at the very least. So let's see those numbers climb.
Thank you.
Good luck to you and your running.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, this was great. Thanks again for making it happen. Like I said, we never envisioned the podcast focusing on stuff like this, and I'm so happy we do, and we bring it, and we have people like you on. You're so amazing, inspiring. Thanks so much. Can't wait to talk again to all of you and meet you in person.
And let Ari know about that 3,000-mile run you just mentioned, because in a couple of years, I'm going to have him do it.
That's the natural progression of things. You do a marathon and then a 3,000-mile transcon.
Exactly.
This was a blast. Thank you so much.
Yeah,
everyone.
thank you so much, guys.
Thank you.
Everyone, I hope you enjoyed Coach Mike, Ashley, and Ari on the On the Runs podcast. Go Boston Bulldogs.
Coach Mike, Ashley, Ari, I think you guys are absolutely amazing. We can't thank you enough for coming on the podcast to tell us more about the Bulldogs and this amazing resource you have for the community. So just keep going. You guys are wonderful. And I wish you so much success at this race on Sunday.
You guys rock. Thank you, Dan, the bearded runner. Thank you
for
Patrick.
Putting us in touch. Yes.
Yeah. And thank you, Patrick Karen, for putting in the good word when Coach Mike called you and asked about us. And like, who are these two knuckleheads, Eric and Erica? Who has a podcast with the co-hosts have the same name? Patrick, thank you. Dan, thank you very much. And guys, remember, it's the Recovery 5K and Tribute. The Boston Bulldogs Run for Recovery 5K will be held both live and virtually on Sunday, May 19th. That's this Sunday at 9 a.m. It is at the Franklin Zoo Park. It is a great race. I'm looking at the picture here. It looks beautiful as it's on grass and trails, and I think part of a cross-country course, as Mike said. Franklin Park Playstead, Pierpoint Road in Boston, of course. I heard you can take the Orange Line all the way to the last stop, which would be Forest Grove, and then you can like walk to the starting line. So if I go, I think that's what I'll do because I like to take public transportation. I think that's cool.
It is the easiest way to get in there. So I agree. That is the way.
So I also think we have another race to plug at the same time. I see it in the notes.
I was just going to say that. Yep. There's a race coming up. It's on Sunday, June 2nd. This is for the first annual Concord Pride 5K run walk event.
New Hampshire?
Concord, New Hampshire. Yes, I should say that because there's a Concord, Mass. I always forget being a New Hampshireite, right?
Yeah.
But this is hosted by the Equality Health Center, which proudly provides LGBTQIA plus health services to the community. So you guys are really going to want to check out this race. It's going to be amazing. It's the inaugural one. So my friend Janelle is looking for volunteers also. If you're not able to run, you can check out our show notes. We're going to have all kinds of information about it in there. But if you guys can make this event, it's going to be amazing. Yeah, it's for a wonderful cause as well. So
yeah, I'll have the link for
Sunday, June 2nd.
Yeah, I'll have the link to sign up for both the Boston Bulldogs 5K and this
the first annual Concord Pride.
Thank
5K.
you. I was looking forward to the notes. I will have in the show notes the link for both the Boston Bulldogs 5K and the Concord Pride 5K run and walk. And I'll also put Janelle's email in there for if you want to volunteer. I also see she's looking for a DJ or a photographer if anyone wants to help out and volunteer.
I think she may have found a photographer, but I think she still might need a DJ. So if anybody wants to volunteer to help her out, I know she would really appreciate it.
That's awesome. All right, cool. All right. That's quite a bit of race promos we've ever done on the podcast. 2 races in one episode.
Don't forget about the Goffstown Gallop coming up on June 22nd.
Might as well just load it up right now. Anyone else want to promo a race on the pod? Goffstown Gallop. You register, you're going to get a t-shirt, and on the back will be an On the Runs logo because we sponsored the race. We're a little sponsor, we're like a friend sponsor. That's what we are. But it's regardless, we're there. I won't be at the Goffstown Gallop, but you will.
But I will. And I know we have some other friends who have signed up. We got Pterodactyl. Pretty sure Lindsay's going to come. I think Yuki will be there. So among others, it's going to be a blast.
Is it Saturday or Sunday morning?
Nope. Saturday morning. It's definitely Saturday. It's always the 4th Saturday in June.
Okay. I definitely won't be there. I'm sorry, but maybe next year.
That is okay. I will let it slide.
Yeah. And then you have a big not a 5K, sorry. You have a big 50K this weekend.
Yes. So I'm really hoping that I could kick this head cold. If I'm not better by, I'll say Wednesday. If I'm not better by Wednesday, I'm going to go do the Key to Life thing. And
yes, I want video.
Oh God, you don't want to see that. That's
while we're pumping the tires for these 5Ks and your 50K, we have to pump the tires. And everybody go out there and find Hannah Newt on Instagram, on Strava, our Patreon, my sister. On Saturday, she is running in her first half marathon just a couple years ago when we started the pod. She was not a runner. I am taking full credit for this.
Hannah. Yes.
She's running. It's the Brooklyn half in New York. It's the one that ends at Coney Island. I'm super excited. And I heard Bex Gentry might be there. So Hannah, if you see Bex, you're going to have to get a picture and say, my brother is on the runs.
I will be super jealous, Hannah, but you will have earned a hug from Bex Gentry.
Yes. Oh, so speaking of Bex Gentry, I have to tell you about my travel day back from Tampa Bay.
Okay.
And Bex ties into this.
Really?
Yeah.
You guys weren't on a plane together or something.
No, but I was with someone from England, and it was great. This is maybe my second. I've been on a lot of airplanes. Yes. This is my second favorite flight of all time. And it got delayed like 8 hours. So, eight's exaggerating.
I saw that. So I was like, that already is like a negative for that, making you wait for so long.
Right.
That's crazy.
Well, my first favorite flight of all time was when I was on like a flight that had 10 people on it. And one was a friend from high school, Maggie Elliott, the girl I actually walked with when we graduated. And we just had the greatest flight talking, hadn't seen each other in like 10, 15 years at that point. Awesome person. It was great. I've only seen her once since graduation of high school, and that was the one. And it was great. I'll never forget that flight. This flight goes into the number 2 slot. And let me tell you why. I showed up to the airport 3.5 hours early. No stress, no anxiety, not rushing. I got to my terminal. I actually ate Chick-fil-A first, and then I went into the terminal, and I got some work done. I did some podcast emails. I did some work emails. I get ready for my flight. We're 40 minutes delayed. Not a big deal. I'm still going to land by 7:30 at night. And we all load on the plane, and I'm one of the first ones on the plane. Well, not first, but I'm like that first third because even though I'm sitting in the back because I got my ticket late, I still had like some status. So I get into my seat. I'm talking to the staff. I'm talking to the people there. And then the plane fills up. And the plane, it's a full plane. We're all sitting in the plane. And I am actually trying to help you edit your reel from the Flying Pig. And I'm into it. I got the headphones in. And I can just tell the girl sitting next to me is talking to the girl on the aisle seat. And the aisle seat girl is just blah, 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 blah. She had a few too many cocktails.
Oh, okay.
So all of a sudden, she reaches across the girl in the middle and taps me. And she's like, hey. And I take the headphone out. Hey, what's up? She goes, so what's your story? And I just kind of laughed and smirked. And at this time, the pilot actually comes on and he interrupted and he goes, we have an electrical issue. Sit tight. Might be 20 minutes. We got to figure it out. So I quickly just say like, oh, I'm Eric and I, I'm here for work and blah, 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 blah. The girl in the middle just seems kind of anxious, kind of nervous, and she is getting a little upset about the delay and says, I just want to go back home to England. And I go, oh, England. So I'm thinking I'll just do an icebreaker here. You ever heard of Bex Gentry? She goes, no. And I go, oh, well, now where do I go from here? I'm like, well, she's just from England. She's wicked cool. She's a Peloton instructor, and I had a cool interaction with her recently. I just thought I'd bring it up. So the girl in the aisle, who's like a couple drinks in now, she's like, well, what was your interaction? I go, well, I have a podcast, and she was my guest. And she goes, well, what do you talk about on your podcast?
Don't mind if I do.
I just went out there and I go, we talk about poop and running and how runners get the shits. And she's like, huh? Really? The girl in the middle is just like, oh God. Oh no, what did I get myself into? Right?
Next to? Yeah.
So I gave them Stoolie stickers and they thought it was great. The girl in the middle, her name is Isabel. She actually went and found her Instagram, liked it. She liked the photo of Stoolie, May the 4th be with you, thought it was super cute.
Nice.
They end up deboarding us on the airplane and they say we need a part. We're going to fly it in from Atlanta. It'll be a few hours. Okay. No big deal to me. Like, I'm still like, we'll figure it out. Those are the things I don't stress about. But I could tell this girl, Isabel, was nervous, anxious, little upset, but just like, am I going to get home? What am I going to do tonight if we have to spend the night? I'm going to miss my hostel in Boston and my friend. Will I even make it back to England in time? Will I miss that flight? Aww. So I ran into her in like the 4 hours we're hanging around and I'm like, have you eaten? Are you hungry? Like, and she goes, I had a terrible $12 sandwich. And I just said, if you need anything, let me know. I'm here. Let me know. If you don't see me, shoot me a message because you already got the Instagram.
There you go.
And she's like, okay. And I just see her pacing at times and I didn't bug her. I just worked. I was editing the Coach Mike podcast. We get back on the airplane at like 11:30 p.m. After all these updates, we finally get on. And I had some confidence we were going to make it, but then I had some doubt. But I had a backup plan. Like, I could just go get a hotel. You know, there was a hotel airport, a Marriott right there. It wasn't a stress to me, but I wanted to get home if I could for practice in the morning. And I knew she wanted to get home. So we board the airplane and the airplane's probably 2/3 full now. A lot of people left. The drunk girl left. And she's sitting next to me and just starts talking to me a little bit, not a whole lot. But I get the fact that she was in America since the beginning of January, studied abroad, hasn't been home or seen her parents in forever. You know, she's 21, but just wants to get home.
Yeah.
The plane takes off. And she quickly throws her headphones on as we're like about to take off and just stops talking. And I'm like, it's okay. The plane's taking off. I'm going to get back to work. I have the computer on. I'm editing the podcast.
Yeah.
We take off for about 2 minutes. It's very shaky. And eventually she taps me and just says, I'm sorry. I really don't do well in airplanes. Can we keep talking?
Oh, okay.
Well, guess what? I love to talk. I could talk forever, and hours and hours. You've got the best seatmate in the world. Like, yes. What do you want to talk about?
What did you talk about? I'm curious. Like, how long was your flight home? Was it like 2-3 hours?
3 hours.
Like okay.
We talked for the whole thing.
That's a lot of time
of
to
a few
fill,
parts,
right?
and I'll get into that.
Yeah.
I realized pretty quickly, though, that like me talking about the podcast or about me wasn't working. And she couldn't like come up with what a conversation to talk about. So I went into podcast host mode. Let me ask about you. All right. So I got into like, what are you going to school for? What kind of jobs is that going to lead? She gets all into detail about that. We talk about London and where to go. And she's showing me on her phone a map. And I'm like, I'm writing it down, you know, not really pretending. I'm actually seriously was writing it down.
Yeah.
And I told her, like, if you ever come to New England again, this is what I think you should do. Let me tell you, for someone who she doesn't do good on airplanes, right? But she's been on them hundreds of times. She's like, I know I'm okay. I've been to over 40 countries in my life. I know I'm fine.
Wow.
My body just does this thing. And I'm like, okay, well, let's just talk. The woman in front of us was like, stop talking.
Oh, geez.
We moved back a row because no one was in that row. And we just had a great conversation. The flight attendant knew during the long delay that she was anxious, and he made her very, very, very strong drink of gin, which brought up my 21st birthday, the last time I ever had gin, and we'll never have it again.
Oh, I like gin.
Yeah. So, and
Anyways.
she's taking sips. She's going, I don't think he put anything else in here but gin. It calmed her nerves.
Oh, yeah.
So we had a great flight. We had so much fun talking, or at least I did. At times, though, it would get turbulent, and she would like quickly throw the headphones on again. It's like her coping
Comfort
mechanism or
thing.
something,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Comfort.
No, everybody's got it, so might
Right.
as well use it.
And then she'd pull it off the ear and just continue where we left off. And I got used to that and comfortable, and just whatever you need, tell me. It was my favorite flight ever. The really cool thing was, because of the delay and all the water she drank, she's like, I really need to go to the bathroom. But the seatbelt sign was on. And she's like, this pilot needs to turn it off really soon. And I'm looking at the flight attendant who's sitting in the row behind us, because we're like the third to last row. And I'm just like, can we use the bathroom? Is it cool? She's like, yeah, it's cool. I'm like, you can do it. You can do it. And she's like, are you sure?
People,
and I'm like,
people
I'm
ignore
sure.
that sign all the time.
Yeah.
And they're like, hey, sit down. But they don't really enforce it.
She got up and used the bathroom, and she tells me, and I'm so proud of her. It was the first time she's ever gotten out of her seat or unbuckled from an airplane seat in a moving airplane in her life.
Ever? Oh
Ever.
my gosh.
And I'm so proud of her. And she did a great job. And she went back into her comfort zone for the landing, right? Put the headphones on. And we landed, and I could tell like she had just had a way to process it and deal with it and breathe, you know.
Yeah.
And so I didn't bug her for any of that stuff. We get off the airplane, and I just say, hey, Isabel, it was wonderful meeting you. Great conversation. I enjoyed it. It's 2:30 in the morning when we landed. And she just gave me a quick bye. Okay, thanks, bye. And an hour later, as I'm driving home, I had a DM and Instagram with the most like amazing thank you message that anyone has ever sent me. And just, she goes like, she says, I'm sorry I have this issue, and I need to focus on regulating my breathing. I just want to say thank you so much for helping me throughout the trip. Please know if you're ever in London, I will happily short you a day out on me. I'm glad you made it home to take your daughter to practice. Let me tell you, Erica, when we go to London, we are calling Isabel, and she's going to take us around for a day. And I told her, like, we want to go to the spots that the tourists don't know about and don't go to.
Basically. But that was so nice of her. And that was really nice of you. Like, you were taking care of her without being like pushy or anything like that. You weren't invading her space. You were letting her kind of drive the conversation and like just helping her through it. That was really nice of you.
I feel like, and usually I get a little seat upgrade. I can get pushed to Comfort Plus. I didn't get it this time. Probably because I got the ticket so late, because the trip happened so late. I feel like I was meant to be in that seat.
I mean, maybe, yeah. They just knew that you needed to hang out with Isabel for an evening.
That's right. I feel like just like it was meant to be, it was meant to happen. You need someone who will ask you questions and keep your mind busy and occupied and take away from the bumps.
I don't think I could have done it, so they definitely picked the right person.
She tells me.
I never think of the right things to say on a flight, especially to a complete stranger.
Yeah, she tells me the shorter flights are harder because the airplane ride isn't as smooth. You go up and you don't really go as high, and then you kind of come down pretty quickly. Like it's a 3-hour flight. She goes, the big international ones on those big airplanes, she goes, they're really smooth and I do really well.
Yes.
And so I hope she had a great flight back home to London. I hope her night, getting back at 2:30 in the morning, I hope she was able to figure her logistics and everything out. But man, what a gem. I love, like, she was awesome. Isabel, good luck with everything. You have your final year of college, and I guess in London, basically you just write like a $25,000 paper. No, it's a 25,000 word paper you have to write. That is your final exam for senior year.
Dissertation or whatever. That's intense. Oof.
Environmental science, and she told me all about it and like what job opportunities there could be or that she'd want to do or not want to do. And like she works like 5 jobs back at home in the summer. So
wow,
she was a sweetheart.
Busy girl.
I was so happy to be put in that spot. I really was, because I was not sleeping on that airplane. It was just editing the podcast. I couldn't do the sleep. So yeah. She, though, back to toothpaste. She told me that everyone in England puts toothpaste on the toothbrush first, then water. And she goes, it's not even a debate. And I didn't like bring up, hey, how do you brush your teeth? At one point, she's just like, I just want so badly to take a shower and brush my teeth. And I go, well, speaking of brushing your teeth.
That's a perfect like segue into that.
Yes. Oh man, I really enjoyed it.
Good.
Made a super late flight. I got home at 4 a.m.
Oh my God.
Turned it into a wonderful flight. I'm glad I didn't. My boss told me, just get a hotel, fly home tomorrow. I'm glad I didn't do that.
Yeah.
So
Did
Isabel,
you practice?
Yes, I did. I made her I got out of line to practice, and I got home and took a nap with the boys a couple hours later.
Awesome.
So yeah, Isabel, thank you for an amazing flight. That was a blast. I hope everything's well in England, and Erica and I are going to visit you when we go there for the London Marathon.
Eventually.
It's going to happen. I'm
going to keep throwing my name in. We'll see.
I'm going to do the same thing. I'm just going to do the same thing.
Oh, the odds of getting in that are so low. It's not even funny.
Unless you like move to London. I saw some crazy reel about like, well, you could move to London, and I think it was Letty. Letty's like, let's all move to London, buy a house and get a residency there. And then it improves our chances by like 70%.
I know.
Yeah.
But fundraising is also an option for people if you are really looking to get in. It was not that much money because that's the route that I went when I ran London. And it was much, much less than I had to fundraise for Boston.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. Well, we could do that. I mean, that was like $2,500, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we could totally do that. Like, that doesn't scare me. It's the 10, 12 grand that scares me. And what I learned was with Boston is you actually like, you pledge a number, right? And the people who pledge a higher number usually get those bibs. So that's why 10 grand is pretty common. Like you could pledge 5 grand, but you're not going to get a bib is from what I've learned.
Yeah, they want to get the most out of it. So
I'm scared of trying to get 10 plus grand. So 2,500, I'm like, all right, I could do that. We could do that. But 2 more notes about my Tampa trip.
Sure.
I
flamingos. Sorry.
Huh?
The flamingos. Oh my God, you sent me the thing from the Tampa airport. Sorry to derail, but I just remembered it and you showed me. And I was like, BRB moving to Tampa.
Yeah. What a big flamingo, which pterodactyl was like, I wonder if it's a state bird. And that would make sense. But no, the state bird of Florida is the northern mockingbird. That makes no sense.
Is the flamingo the state bird for any state?
I don't know.
I'm curious. Okay.
I don't know.
I'll look it up later.
Quick Google search here. 5 seconds later. Okay. For nearly 100 years, the mockingbird has served as Florida's official state bird. Yes, the mockingbird, not the flamingo, despite what many people think. However, the flamingo is the national bird of the Bahamas.
Okay.
All right, we can sell that. But yeah, there's a giant, like 50-foot tall flamingo in the Tampa Bay airport.
Wicked cool.
And then there was like all these flamingo books and stickers and flamingo stuffed animals for sale right there. So yeah, it's pretty cool.
You know me, I'm all about the flamingos. There she is right there.
Yep, there she is. Beck's Beast represent.
Yep, I
So no, the 2 other things about my Florida trip, I really, really, really enjoyed my walk.
Mm-hmm.
And I spent half that walk on the phone with you, a video call. The 2 other people I tried to call on that video call with you did not pick up. Sleepy heads.
I told you, man, if I'm ever available, I will pick up when you call. So I'm glad I did. You showed me some cool sights on the river walk or the boardwalk or whatever it was, and it was a nice night.
I went
like a great night to be out there.
It was a beautiful night, and I went for a run on that same river walk the next morning, and that was kind of humid. The air was kind of girthy. I kind of struggled. I was sweating out some beer because after that run, but after that run, I was sweating out the beer because I saw one of the guys I work with, one of the big BD guys for the Navy side of things, and I sat down with him and had a couple, and everyone there was in like cocktail wear, tuxedos and everything.
Ooh.
Just picture like people from the Titanic, the way they all dressed and everything. Like there was a gala. Part of the trade show, there was a gala. I was not invited. This BD guy was not invited. But everyone came downstairs after the gala. Is at the hotel bar, really nice hotel bar. So me and him, we were extremely overdressed. So as I walked up to the bar, very overdressed, wearing my UFOs, a pair of shorts, and that T-shirt, solid colored T-shirt, at least no logos, and he's in a golf shirt. I'm kind of hanging out, and I look to my left, and I see a guy wearing a chef's jacket.
Okay.
I'm like,
It wasn't the bear, was it?
kind of different. And then I'm looking at him and I go, I know this guy. He's on TV. Like, what's he doing here?
Bobby Flay.
Oh, no. But
I don't know.
Robert Irving.
No fucking way.
Yes.
Robert Irving.
2 feet from him, and he has wine or something, or I think he had a Yingling actually, because someone made the comment that he got a Yingling or something about because I was drinking Yingling. He's 2 feet next to me around these beautiful women and all these other guys dressed up in tuxedos. The women were in these beautiful gowns, and he apparently
Robert Irvine.
One of them, Irving.
I've watched his show for a little while. Anyway,
so he was apparently like the chef of honor for the gala.
That's really cool.
And from what I heard is people who go to this gala every year, they said this is the best food they've ever had. And the course was amazing. They said like everything was fantastic. So I have the crappiest photo of him. I tried snagging a photo, but I was too close. So the camera's really low.
Would you get like his double chin? Like I would get mine.
Like his head is just cut off at the top. And I have like some girls.
Look at that handsome guy.
That's
there he
him.
is.
That's him. And he looked like a gem. He looked like a great dude having a great time. Obviously, he's probably getting paid a lot of money to be there hanging out.
Well, he's a chef of honor, you said,
yeah,
right?
He was. And he cooked all the food for them. So that was pretty cool.
Great.
I only got the one crappy photo. My phone's downstairs, so I will just send it to you after.
Please do.
I'll post this on a reel somewhere and say, hey, Robert, do you want to cook for On the Runs?
Well, we can't afford that.
Do you want to run in a 5K with us and we'll like cook you some food on the griddle after and you can just tell me how awful my food is?
Is he the guy who no, he's not the guy who will tell you it's terrible. No, he's not the guy
who yells at everybody and said, no, he's not him. No. So I think this guy would wouldn't he go and save restaurants and say this is what you need to do to save your restaurant?
I'm trying to remember what his show is called. I have it pulled up. Oh, Restaurant Impossible. I used to watch that show. Dinner Impossible. Yeah.
That's the one.
Yeah. Yeah.
And where he goes and saves the restaurants or he helps save them, or he might say, you're gone, you're dead, you're donezo. So who knows? Anyways.
Well, that's looking fun.
Yeah, it was cool. It was a quick trip. Let me tell you, it was boring. There was really no point in me being there except for getting to meet people and see how things happen at a trade show. It's not my goal to go to trade shows. I want to go to demos, but I might go to a little more. And I'll go when it works out. I hated that it was at the end of the week. I would much rather travel to the beginning of the week. And I might be next week's Tros. I might be on the road again. Still don't have the dates, but I'll probably be at State College, Pennsylvania.
Interesting.
Doing something.
Yeah, they send you all over the place.
They do, but it's always last minute. And it's like I was supposed to travel 2 or 3 times this month. I'm skipping out this week. I'm not going to Wallops Island. I still had the opportunity. I said, no, if I'm going to Tampa and then if I'm going to Pennsylvania 2 weeks after, I'm not going 3 straight weeks. Sorry. Yeah. It's nice that I kind of have a say. And it's good when I say yes, but it's also good when I say no.
Yeah, you have a right. You got to exercise it.
Yep. Enough about me. One more note I see that's missing is, and we missed it in the Tros, but you went to a baseball game with some pretty cool people in Cincinnati, and we didn't talk about it last week.
Yeah, we went way over our time for the Cincinnati recap, and even though it was a total blast, we did miss a couple of things that we wanted to talk about.
I said 1 hour.
Mostly I wanted to rub in. I wanted to rub in.
And Patrick's microphone.
Well, that's true. But yeah, I had to rub it in a little bit more that post-marathon, we got to go celebrate at a Cincinnati Reds game. It was me, Dave, Tara, and Jared, and we were all hanging out, getting to know each other better, and just having fun at the ball game.
Yeah,
and we got super cheap tickets just
to
get in the door. And
I love that's the
really
stuff I love to do. I would love to just do that on the road, go to a game. I did that in Vegas, right? I did it in Milwaukee with the Brewers, $12 tickets.
Well, Dave is actually, he goes around, like he spent the rest of his road trip visiting some extra stadiums. And I've been trying to do that actually whenever we get to travel. Like Brandon and I went to Toronto. We saw the Blue Jays play. We saw a Rockies game when we were in Colorado. And then when we go out to Washington, we're going to a Mariners game. So like we're trying to do the same thing, just maybe not as aggressively.
Yeah.
Like we're not going just for that. It's mostly my races, but we're doing some extra stuff.
Erica first. Erica number 1. Her races come first.
I gotta say,
I mentioned Patrick's microphone, and you told me about Denise's microphone or the audio in Denise's episode, and then obviously the one with Patrick. Usually I do a really good job of getting rid of that noise. It's not that hard to get rid of, but I didn't even notice it. I didn't even really edit that episode. I just kind of quickly went through it. I had to piece a lot of those questions together. Yeah. And then because I did that, we recorded that Wednesday night and I uploaded it like at 1 a.m, Thursday morning.
You're a machine.
So actually I have gone back into the episode and I've edited that audio of like him moving around because he had that microphone on his headphones, like what you and I have, but we're using
this little bad boy. So it's every little movement you're rubbing on it and it just makes noise. Yeah.
Right. And usually I'm good at like getting those out because we do those interviews, those guest appearances weeks in advance. And so I have time and that's pretty easy to get at least reduce the noise. I've learned how to do. But you told me like, oh my God, there's this awful noise. And I'm like, oh my God, what happened? And I listened to him like, oh my God. And we weren't
so
sure.
Weird. Just picked it up in my headphones listening at work. And I was like, this is different. So I figured I'd let you know.
Yeah. No. So I like I said, I've actually fixed it, but I haven't re-uploaded the audio. And I will do that. Right. So like months, weeks, days from now, when someone listens to that episode, they won't hear it. But everyone who did listen, which is a lot of you, listen Thursday morning, probably heard that. But everyone seems to love these race recap episodes of yours. They really do.
You know what? I just have to say thank you to people who actually enjoy these because I love making them. This is like, it's a really nice memento for me later on down the line because I get to re-listen and relive everything that happened. And it's just, it is nice to have that recorded somewhere. Like, sure, you got pictures, but it's just nice to remember every little detail. So thank you guys for listening. Thank you for making me want to run more. You guys are stars. I love it.
And I just want to say you're a star and you are upping your game with Instagram because that flying pig food reel is all you.
I wanted to do something fun like that because I had seen, of course, you see other people doing it. And I just knew the food on this course was going to be like kind of bonkers. So I was going to go balls to the wall and eat every weird thing I could come across. So that I did.
But this was all you.
And it was all shit you. My pants.
Yeah, you didn't shit your pants. But tell me about like what it was like making a reel on Instagram.
It was freaking infuriating, man. Like it's for somebody who's not good at Instagram at all. This was like pulling teeth, honestly. Just because it wasn't doing what I wanted it to do. It took forever to get it to do what I wanted it to do. So I have a lot of respect for you guys who can just pull that stuff out. I don't know how you do it, but teach me your ways.
Well, I want to say, great job. I think a round of applause and maybe more cheering. Let's go, Erica. Let's go. Woohoo! Yes.
Thank you. Maybe I'll do another one someday.
Nice. Way to go, Eham. I want to say, like, I was impressed the way it came out because I think a couple days you were working on it and you expressed frustration. And I said, send me all the videos. And then you sent them all. You're like, let's do a Google Doc. And man, that's like pulling teeth for me.
The Google Photos is awful.
I don't understand it. And this happened with Josh with the Peloton. I'm like, I don't freaking get Google Photos. The photos do okay, but the videos don't. And I couldn't download them. And I had to like go in 5 different directions to download it. Someone please take me to school on Google Photos. And
maybe you should do like videos. Dropbox or something. Is that it? But you have to pay for that, don't you?
I love what we do. Just send them to me the way you do. The quality comes out great. Good. 99 out of 100 times. Like I made a quick one and I did it pretty quickly. It took me like an hour, maybe an hour 15.
That's quick.
And at the same time you finished the one you did.
Me. Yeah.
So I sent you mine. I said, here's mine. You tell me what you think. And then you shared yours and I'm like, use yours, post yours. If you want to see mine, it's on our TikTok.
Fun. Awesome.
I posted it on our TikTok. And also we might have an employee soon who will be our TikTok account manager. We're working on it. We offered her the position. She's yet to accept.
I'm so glad it's not me.
She's yet to accept. I'm like, listen, I'm not doing anything on TikTok, but if I just send you the videos after I post and do all that, like if you want to run our TikTok account, we're going to see. She hasn't officially accepted. I actually think like, she's like, if I do this, I have to take it seriously. And I'm like, no, you don't. But It's yours if you want it.
Well, for the record, I'll never know because I don't have TikTok on my phone, and rarely do I, unless it shows up somehow on Instagram. That's the only way I see TikToks.
But mine's on the
God, I'm
TikTok, so
old.
go follow the TikTok. You'll see the edit I did for her food. I think yours is better because you put in the captions.
I tried. I mean, I wanted to comment on it as it went. So I know it's long, and I don't know.
Mine's much shorter. Mine was those short clips. It's like bacon, beer, more beer.
Yours
bacon.
Is probably better because I don't think a lot of people watch the whole thing, but it's still, you know what? It's for me. It's a memento
100%.
of my race. So
100%. Just like our yearly or monthly recaps. It's for us.
Yeah.
And it's freaking good too.
You have all those videos and you can use them however you like. So.
Yeah. You did a great job. Good job. I'm proud of you for going outside of your comfort zone. As Ari likes to say, get comfortable being uncomfortable.
Yes. Yes.
You did that whole entire weekend. You got a little bit on the gram, posting some stories. I've taken a little bit of time off it. Not that I have, I just didn't have the stuff. I'm just, I was tired all weekend.
I don't know how you do it. When you're logged into 2 different Instagram accounts at once, you get all of the notifications. I had 75 notifications, and at one point I'm like, I can't even look at my phone, and I just left it alone.
I turn off my notifications. But what actually happened to you was you collabed with yourself.
No, I would get all of your, it would say on the runs, somebody liked this, on the runs. And then I would get 6-star Erica. So I would get 2 different sets of notifications for different things.
Okay, but what I noticed, if I ever shared something and collabed with myself, I would get a bunch of notifications that would say, Erica liked your post twice, once on the runs, once on Eric's.
Oh no, I was getting all of your notifications.
Yeah. I turn them off notifications. I only see it when I go in the app.
It's so overwhelming. I was in sensory overload with all that stuff. But that's why I'm not logged in very often.
It's been awesome since I got rid of, or since I went this way, because even my Gmail, I don't get the notifications because I'll have a ton of Gmail email. I have 4 Gmails accounts, right?
Oh my God.
2 of them are really tied together because one was the first one I created. And I'm like, that's not really professional. It's not inappropriate, but who wants to hear from Hockey Puck Newt? It looks like Hockey Fuck Newt. Right?
Okay. Yeah.
So Newt.Eric is my personal one. And then the on the runs. And I have one that's just for races and signups and that type of stuff. So that it doesn't get buried.
That's smart. Yeah.
So
gotcha.
Turn off the notifications. And it's nice when you open the app, you just see everything. I just
logged out of yours.
Well, log back into it. Log back into it for your 50K a little bit, or just take videos.
I can at least take videos.
Take videos. We'll post later. Yes. Hannah, good luck. I'm so proud of you.
You're going to do amazing.
Yes. Have fun. If you see Bex Gentry, give her a hug and say,
tell her I say hi.
Yes.
And Eric.
You don't even have to say my name. Just say, I listen to On the Runs, and Erica Hamill is amazing. 6-star Erica. Call her 6-star Erica. She'll know that.
She will know me from that, yes.
This was fun. I feel like we really haven't caught up in a while, even though we talked about the race last week. We took a week off. Nicole and Justine did a great job. You could tell they had a lot of fun.
It. Yes.
That won't be a common theme, maybe a once-a-year theme, but Nicole is going to start our podcast. We're going to help. It's going to be kind of under the On the Runs umbrella, at least for the start. If she wants to take ownership of it after, it's all hers. But she is working on her podcast. She has the microphone. We're working on the photo art, the cover art.
I'm so excited for her.
We're working on it all. There's no pressure, no timeline, but she has the tools, and I'm going to edit it. It's going to be a lot of fun. And we already started talking to 2 people about starting their podcast next year. And maybe there'll be a little On the Runs Media Network of podcasts in the future.
Aww. Man, what did I tell you? You're a pro. You are a pro now.
I have a lot of fun.
Absolutely.
I have a lot of fun. I'm ready. I work wicked hard. I don't feel like I work at all.
That's great. That's the way it should be.
It's the way it should be. It's the way it is, and the way it's going to be one day. Erica, good luck. Have fun. I'll talk to you next week. Feel better. Go Bruins. Erica, take us home.
I hope everybody's feeling a lot better than me. You know that we love you. I hope you have a wonderful week. And don't forget to stretch.
3, 2, 1, yeah!
Hey guys, real quick, now that you finished the episode, we forgot to mention we were on another podcast and it dropped. Hey guys, real quick, if you just finished this episode and you want to hear more from us, we were on another podcast, the Trail Trash Podcast, and it dropped on Monday. Go check it out. Erica, we talked to Jason and Garrett. They also have a third co-host who couldn't make it. His name is John. It was a lot of fun.
We had an absolute blast. I totally recommend checking out their podcast, so you can get them wherever you get your podcast.
That's right. We'll share a link in the show notes for it, because when this drops, it would theirs would have already have dropped, as we do the Tros now on Sunday nights. It drops Monday. It was super fun. They're up and coming, just like we were, and they're awesome. They got a good show, a lot of ultra and trail talk. A lot of ultra and trail talk, as they are trail trash. So it was pretty cool. And also, I'll just pump the tires for us one more time. Follow us on Instagram. Find that link in bio and check us out on YouTube. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. More and more and more is happening there. The TikTok, maybe she takes the position and runs our TikTok account, and she'll be doing her own stories from it. That's a hint. It's a girl. It's a she. That's who we offered it to. Will she accept? I don't know. We'll find out. Follow us on all the platforms. Threads, I'm sorry I don't post enough there, but I post more there than Twitter. We have a Twitter account, but it will never see the light of day. That was a lot of fun.
I totally messed up what I was trying to say earlier.
This is no editing. It's after the outro music.
I said, no, I don't like that. But you're going to like this podcast, so go listen to Trail Trash.
It was a lot of fun. Erica and I were ourselves. We had a good time. So go check out the Trail Trash Podcast. I can't even say it right, Trail Trash. Try to say that 3 times fast.
Trail Trash.
That's right. It was fun. Guys, love you. And Erica,
don't forget to stretch.